já há alguns elementos aqui e se calhar enquanto tu estavas a ver aí, a gente ia introduzindo aí a malta e vai fazer-se uma
Uhum.
pá, sem nenhuma preferência. Para o Gedel depois esbarcar nos nossos cartões. Eh, mas assim a gente pode ir introduzindo as pessoas e falamos destes temas que aqui estamos. Pronto, nós estamos aqui a dizer, é assim, estes temas já apareceram noutros CitizenCons, Star Citizen Live, já não há nada de novo aqui, tirando o New JP Concept, porque isto não é nada, né? Pronto, nem fosse nova, fosse uma criatura nova, isto é muito coisa, mas estes temas já apareceram antes. Nós estamos aqui com este Bing, é que eles vão falar nesta CitizenCon porque está próximo, ou vai sair este ano, ou no próximo patch, ou 2 patches vai sair, ok? E, estes temas é com essa ideia. Por isso, Bajositos, estás aí? Alô? Estou? Assim. Ok. Então, quais são os teus 5 destes temas, todos, estamos aqui a 25, os 5 temas daqui que tu achas que vai ser de que vai ser apresentado agora aqui na Citizen como mais próximos de aparecer e porquê? O sistema. Uhum. Ok, então vamos lá ver. Primeiro, Nix, não foi? Novo sistema, Nix. Por causa dos leaks que a gente já tem visto aí. E diz uma coisa, achas que faz sentido sair um novo sistema sem o dinâmico do server meshing? E temos o sistema como temos agora, o estático. Ok. Sim, sim, certo. Tu disseste Nix, disseste o crafting. Sim, o crafting pelas, pelas. Eu sei que tu. Qual desses temas é o que é o que tu gostavas mais que fosse de que fosse anunciado? O crafting? Porquê?
Nested Zones e por aí fora, que não têm utilidade absolutamente nenhuma, e
Sim,
pode ser que a partir de agora passem a ter.
e o mining e o salvage também
Gostava,
vão
pelo menos
ter
gostava disso.
esse papel, se calhar, mais importante nisso. A gente também, ok. Ok, tu também falaste do Bounty Hunting. Bounty Hunting também também há certas naves mais com esse intuito, chamemos assim, para ter, mas Bounty Hunting 2.0 como? Estás a ver o a capturares players ou NPCs vivos e pô-los dentro. Sim, é esse,
Certo.
né? Ok.
Certo, é esse.
Ok. Ok.
Por exemplo, a Zeus MR, que precisa dessa mecânica. Temos a Cutlass Blue, que precisa dessa mecânica. Temos a Ock, que precisa da mesma mecânica. Portanto, acho que me fazia todo o sentido eles pensarem em lançar isso. E, aliás, já houve leaks no passado. Eles apresentaram essas mesmas mecânicas, salvo erro, duas CitizenCons atrás. E gostava efetivamente de ver aí alguma alteração
Ok.
em relação ao Bounty Hunter.
Também falaste em naves, disseste desapareceus, a gente sabe que vai sair este ano. Acho que está mais do que. Sim, mas eu estou a dizer, acho que a Perseus a gente já sabe. Também a gente sabe que a Kraken está em produção. Qual é que é o estado dela? Estava, acho que não sei, já tinha passado Segredo Box, etc. Já estava mais avançado do que isso. Achas que vai sair este ano? Tens fé nisso? Sim, não, para não.
A Kraken, não.
Sim, não, para não.
Kraken, não. Não. Mas acredito que eles deem algumas informações em relação à Kraken, nomeadamente talvez alteração de algumas funcionalidades que eles tinham planeado inicialmente e que se calhar agora, no estado atual do jogo, não fazem tanto sentido. Mas a Kraken tinha sido pensada a ser basicamente quase um hub de refuel e de refining basicamente era uma estação ambulante, não é? Fazia 30 por uma linha e podias até reabastecer as tuas naves. Não sei até que ponto é que eles não vão fazer algumas alterações a alguns níveis. Também não sei precisar quais, mas fazia-me sentido eles falarem da Kraken, nomeadamente agora que
Ok.
está
Diz-me uma coisa,
numa
e
fase mais
algum
avançada.
tema, ou alguma feature, uma coisa que tu gostavas de que fosse implementada o mais rapidamente possível? Qual achas qual é a feature que está a fazer mais falta neste momento? Se tu tivesses que escolher uma.
Epá, uma assim bem rápido, talvez a nível social, talvez a implementação de guild, um sistema de guild dentro do jogo, acho que fazia sentido.
Socialist System, sim.
Mas aí esse. O hacking também gostava de ver, sim. Yeah. O hacking também gostava de ver implementado. Mas em termos de fazer falta mesmo ao jogo e aos players, a comunidade em geral, eu acho que era o
em partilho contigo, acho que temos aqui muitos temas que são espetaculares e que a gente quer e tudo, mas para mim acho que se eu tivesse que escolher aqui para mim que acho que é o que está a fazer mais falta é mesmo o social. Tudo o que tem a ver com os players e parties, guilds, organizações, whatever, acho que está a fazer muita falta mesmo. E o rework do inventório que a gente sabe que. Pronto, enfim, mas pronto, olha, eu gostei das tuas opções. O General já acho que se apontou. Olha, diz-me uma coisa, já está resolvido aquele problema do som? Não te estamos a ouvir. Aqui no. Ok. Não te estamos a ouvir. Aqui no. Ok, ok. Mas já está resolvido?
Tudo mute, isto
Tá?
funciona.
Ok, ok. Mas já está resolvido?
Já está tudo
Claro,
tratado.
então, mas é para isso que a gente estamos
Sim,
aqui.
sabes como é que
Para
é?
começar a
Primeiro
testar
custa
e
sempre.
depois há de ver mais
Então,
vezes. Claro. Então pronto, obrigadinho, Bajó, pelas tuas palavras. Vamos passar pelo 100. Volto a dizer, isto não tem. Não há aqui escolhas. A seguir temos o nosso grande, que é o Proença. Proença. Estou assim, Beja. Estou assim, Proença.
Olá, Roda dos Milhões.
Proença. Não te estamos a ouvir.
Ricardo Alberto.
Não te estamos a ouvir. Beja? Agora estamos a ouvir. Agora sim.
Oi?
Beja?
Olá.
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 Bem,
Olá, meus queridos. Olá.
como tu tiveste aí tão caladinhos, agora faz tu as perguntas, género. Agora faz tu as perguntas, género.
Pronto, o Proença também é um dos grandes interessados que tem um gosto especial pelo jogo e a gente consegue ver já a loucura e é quando ele chegou-se à frente e disse para ele qualquer uma destas opções dava direito a bingo. Portanto, ó Proença, explica-nos lá um bocadinho
Obviamente.
as tuas escolhas e o porquê das mesmas.
Ora bem, as minhas escolhas, eu acho que o Bajó foi pouco ambicioso. E o Psycho e o General também, porque eu acho que as escolhas corretas são todas as 25. Todos
Correto,
nós
isso é
que jogamos
verdade.
isto realmente há bastante tempo, todos nós queremos que qualquer coisa que está aqui que saia, e todos nós temos, obviamente, um interesse maior ou menor nas coisas, mas todos nós queremos tudo isto que saia. Mas temos, e efetivamente, alguns interesses mais pessoais. Uh, uh, eu não fiz, as minhas escolhas não foram necessariamente uh, as que eu gostava mais, mas as que eu acho que vão sair. Uma é,
Ok,
ou melhor, que eles vão sair em termos de falar, não é verdade?
certo.
Uma delas é a Kraken, porque como já toda a gente sabe, a Kraken está em produção e acho que vai ser falatório. Enquanto, por exemplo, a Perseus sabemos que vai sair, mas não acho que vão falar dela porque não têm grande coisa para falar dela a dizer, olha, estamos a fazer. Enquanto a Kraken estão a fazer assets para a Kraken, porque também está a ser reutilizada com a Ironclad e o Command Model que é partilhado entre elas, e portanto acho que vão ali falar da Kraken, porque invariavelmente também vão falar da Ironclad também. Isso eu acho que vão falar. Acho que vão continuar a falar do Dynamic Server Meshing no sentido das melhorias que têm sido feitas, e quer se gosta ou quer se não do gosto, do gosto, peço desculpa, do jogo, e para quem joga novamente isto já há bastante tempo, o jogo está num estado muito mais estável do que alguma vez esteve. A gente hoje em dia, a gente entra, joga e a gente sai quando a gente quer, não é necessariamente quando o jogo nos dá um 30k ou quando vamos parar a Nárnia, que volta e meia ainda acontece.
É verdade.
Mas realmente o Damon Saber Mashing tem uma evolução fantástica e eu acho que eles vão falar disso.
Então, pegando aí no
Há
teu
outros
tópico
tópicos
da
que eu adorava
Kraken,
que eles falassem. Diz.
e tu achas que eles vão então, por esse
Diz,
mesmo
desculpa.
motivo, aproveitar também dar um toquezinho de engineering, é isso?
O engineering também acho que sim, porque é um tópico que vão falar. Eu, por exemplo, pessoalmente, eu abria 38 minis de seguida e vi este penalti. Se me falassem, por exemplo, de base building ou de crafting, que são duas coisas, o base building especialmente, que é uma coisa que eu sou profundamente apaixonado, e o crafting. Mas acho que efetivamente acho que é mais para o engineering, ou seja, tudo tem foundation step e foundation stones, não é? E as coisas têm passos para tal. Por exemplo, agora houve no PTU, está a haver uma mudança muito grande no Salvage, eles já disseram que essa mudança tem a ver com o crafting, com o que eles querem fazer do crafting. Portanto, o base building infelizmente está longe. E a seguir ao crafting acho que vai ser o engineering. Portanto, acho que vai ser um pouco por aí. E a seguir também os control surfaces, porque é algo que têm falado muito e que têm testado muito, e portanto certamente que vão
Então,
vai ser abordado.
Recapitulando,
Perfeito.
que
Mais alguma siga?
quais é que estão os 5 temas que ele escolheu? Os 5 temas que ele escolheu?
Depois, ainda falta o último tema, que é óbvio, que isto continua a ser um projeto fantástico e maravilhoso, mas anda à volta do dinheiro, portanto um straight to flyable ship é fantástico e limpinho que vai sair, e toda a gente diz que é horror, mas está tudo já com o cartão de Mastercard e Visa na mão, que é para saber o que é que vai ser. Portanto, vai ser o flyable ship, engineering, kraken, control surfaces e...
E qual é que achas que vai ser a nave?
Ora aí está.
Qual é que achas que vai ser a nave?
Espero que tenham apontado que isto vai ser o bingo.
Qual é que achas que vai ser a nave?
Qual vai ser a nave? Essa é uma pergunta muito interessante, Psycho. Efetivamente é uma pergunta interessante. Já se ouviu falar de muita coisa nos leaks também, do Heavy Fighter da Xperia, mas eu acho que é uma coisa muito complexa para sair assim de repente. O que eu gostaria, e aqui na Orc, a malta da indústria que também certamente gostaria, era o Medium Salvager, porque efetivamente está a fazer falta com o rework que o Salvage está a levar, e efetivamente isso está a faltar, ponto. Ou seja, o Salvage médio neste momento não há, e o Salvage médio é criado por uma Medium Salvager que não existe neste momento. Acho que podiam fazer qualquer coisa nesse sentido. Se não, vamos ver. Sabemos que há uma mini Salvager que vai sair no final do ano. Mas o Medium Salvager eu acho que é isso, ou a Apollo Hermes, que é o que andam a falar, que é a versão de carga das Apollo. Porque está praticamente feita, é só...
Porque assim, eu também, em relação ao Salvage, também posso dizer o seguinte, é que eu acho estas mexidas no Salvage, ok? E a gente conhecendo a CG como a gente conhece, eles não podem perder a oportunidade de vender mais alguma coisa. Como a Reclaimer,
claro.
ok, estão a fazer algumas mexidas, mas coitada, precisa mais do que umas mexidas, precisa de um rework a sério. E como a Vulture e a Fortune já lançaram, né? Eu acredito que é capaz de ver uma nova nave de salvage, mas não straight to fly. Eu acho que vai ser um JPEGzinho agora. Okay? Essa medium vai haver aí um JPEG. Essa medium vai haver aí um JPEG.
Vai um bocadinho. Eu também acredito em ti, mas gostava de acreditar neles. Porque eles já dizem há algum tempo que agora não vão fazer mais JPEGs, portanto vão dar um tiro no pé se vão sair um JPEG. Mas eu percebo o que tu dizes.
Será aquela nave toda esquizoitoida?
Será aquela nave já deu, não é?
Será aquela nave que a gente sabe, se lembras aquela nave toda esquisitoide que ninguém sabe o que é, lembras que eles mostraram? Aquela nave toda esquisitoide. Por acaso nem tenho aqui agora para mostrar, mas sim. Nem tenho aqui agora para... Sim, toda a gente diz que será. Sim, podia ser. E fazia sentido. Porque eu estou a achar... É assim, ou eles, mudaram muito os paradigmas deles, mas eu estou a achar muito... Acho muito difícil eles estarem a mexer no salvage, como estão a mexer, ainda bem que estão, e não venderem nada. E não capitalizar, a gente conhecendo-os como conhece, não é? Por isso, alguma coisa vai ter que sair. Se é um JP, que espero que não, também, vou ser sincero, espero que seja mesmo uma nave, porque é o tema, não é? Que vai ser o tema, deste patch vai ser o tema.
Eu acho que sinceramente que tens razão, tirando a parte do JPEG, porque, ou seja, se formos a ver, não há nada na mecânica do salvage que seja nova para eles e que seja difícil para eles. Tudo já existe. Os printing machines, as caixinhas, portanto, tudo já está lá. E é realmente como dizes muito bem, que é... Está uma mecânica nova e eles vão fazer cash-in.
E falta aquele...
Eles querem, têm que o fazer.
Porque nós agora temos aqueles 3 materiais, né? Quer dizer, isto é o mesmo material, só que em pó, em bocadinhos e em bocadões, chamemos assim, em português, né? Falta ali no meio uma nave que faça aquela... aquela parte que eles dizem que vem uma nave nova, que a gente não sabe. Agora, fazendo essa pergunta como fiz sobre a Jó, este é o que tu achas que eles vão falar? E quais eram os temas, o tema principal que tu gostavas que realmente, se tivesses que escolher qualquer aqueles que, olha, isto vai sair agora, qualquer.
Ui.
Isto vai sair agora.
Ora bem, essa é uma pergunta excelente. Ora bem, eu tenho o meu coração tem duas cores, não é? Que é o base building e é a Kraken. Por um lado, adorava que o base building fosse uma coisa implementada, porque epá, é aquele sonho que uma pessoa tem no Star Citizen, que é montar a nossa basinha no cu de Judas, num planeta perdido, numa lua perdida e fazer a minha vida lá. E depois é a Kraken, porque pá, Kraken é uma coisa gigante e eu gosto muito de fazer roleplay, de ter a malta da org toda dentro da
E
nave,
trocas
fazer
pela
coisas e
Idris?
fazer aquele. eh,
E trocas pela Idris?
Gosto muito daquela ideia de
E
estarmos
trocas
todos lá
pela
dentro,
Idris?
fazermos missões a partir de lá.
E trocas pela Idris?
Eu tenho a minha mulher
Já
ao pé de
percebi.
mim, portanto
Já
não
percebi.
posso responder a
Já
essa
percebi.
pergunta.
Mais tarde.
Já percebi.
Respondes mais tarde.
Já percebi. Já estou a perceber.
Certo.
Pronto, ok. Pronto, sendo assim, a pergunta não faz muito sentido. Pronto, passamos à frente. Passamos à frente. Está bem, já temos as tuas.
Já temos as tuas.
Nada, então. E a gente
Mas,
vai continuar
obrigado
aí.
pelo
Ok, obrigadinho por
convite
essa.
e continuação de boa transmissão.
Ok, já temos aí.
Obrigado.
Pois, já temos o espetáculo. Temos agora aqui no Discord. Ora, isto faltam 38 minutos. A gente depois vai vermos todos e aí não vai haver os comentários, como começar mesmo a série. O Sage, a seguir. Sage, queres dar as tuas opções? O teu bingo? O teu bingo?
Estás em mute.
Se calhar.
Quer dizer que o Sage não tem o push to talk.
Se é preciso pôr o push do toque e a malta esquece, eu também já estava
Não, mas
aqui,
o Sage não precisa.
Boa tarde.
Não, mas o Sage não precisa. É especial. Não precisa, é especial.
Então.
Então pronto, a gente passamos pela ordem. Temos o Crimson, queres dizer? Crimson, queres dizer? Push to talk. Crimson. E queres dar as tuas.
E o fim falho.
E queres dar as tuas. Não é o que tu queres. Isso é isso que a gente quer, então será. É o que é que tu achas que eles vão. É o que é que tu achas que eles vão.
O que é que tu achas que eles vão falar?
Que deste.
O que é que eu acho que eu vou falar? Pá,
Que deste.
eu acho que eles vão dar alguma indicação de possível de Nix. Acho que vão dar podem dar um touch em Nix e se calhar
Os
o
Control
Flight Model.
Surface? Ou o mesmo Flight Model, é isso? Os Control Surface? Ou o mesmo Flight Model? Sim, introdução dos
Os Control Surface.
Então dizes Nix, ok, sistema, Nix e Control Surface, ok? Sistema. E mais 3. Surface, ok?
Exato.
Sim, mais 3 destes aqui.
Mais 3.
Sim.
Destes aqui.
Inventory System.
Ok, um reworkzinho.
Vai ver, pá, espero que
Já se viu imagens disso.
Ok.
falar disso. Tenho ideia que eles vão falar também de o novo behavior de NPCs do AI.
Ok. Olha.
Mas pá, e possivelmente podem falar da nova cena de alguma evolução da economia, mas eu como também não vi muito o que é que eles iriam dizer não estive muito atento ao que eles estão a falar, mas isso são os 5 pontos que eu gostava que eles falassem, pelo menos é isso.
Já marcaste os 5 pontitos? Já marcaste os 5 pontitos?
Já, mas ele escolheu logo 2 que não estão cá.
Quais é que foram?
Os
Ele
últimos
falou.
dois que o Crimson escolheu.
Quais é que foram? Mas economia é.
Tens economia, né?
Economia é um conceito isto muito alargado, não é? Pronto. É um conceito muito. Economia se engloba muita coisa. A gente aqui temos alguns temas específicos. Vemos assim que pode. A cena mas era o Nix contra o Surface. Mas era o Nix contra o Surface.
Sim,
Certo.
Mix Control Surface, tens o Inventory Rework, Economy e o último qual foi, Crimson? Desculpa.
Até eu já me esqueci. Então foi control.
Ele falou do AI também.
AI. É isso mesmo, AI
Ok.
Behavior. Esse
Ok.
também não chegamos a ver esse. Mas,
Olá.
de qualquer das maneiras, são 2 pontos
Ok.
fantásticos.
E bem perseguidos.
Está bem. Então pronto, vamos.
Não deixas de ter
Obrigado, Crimson. A gente agora vai dar a oportunidade a outro para dar as suas escolhas. Para dar as suas. Quem é que é? Oi? Não, diz, claro, fala, diz.
bónus, mas
Qual é que era o
não-
bónus? Não, diz, claro, fala, diz. Qual é que era o bónus?
O bónus point vai ser fashion. Classes e fashion
Que é assim,
de
achas
armor.
que vai dar para fazer
Ok.
DAI? Assim, achas que as armas? Mudar? Ou
Não,
é assim,
Misturar
deixa-me só dizer uma
com
coisa.
armadura.
Pá, vamos tentar só estar a falar de cada vez, porque senão se a gente começa todos a falar por cima uns dos outros, depois não se vai perceber. Ok? Diz lá, Crimson.
Sim.
Ok? Diz lá, Crimson.
Não, mas era isso, que é...
Certo.
não vai ser muito
Mas
festa
achas
de
que vais
armadura
mudar
e
os
clothing.
cores ou vai ser mais armaduras e mais clothing?
Não, é mistura. É mistura, porque
Certo.
eu já vi que já houve aí hints,
Certo.
undersuits que apanham, que são invisíveis. E já há players que
Ok.
conseguem misturar armadura com clothing.
Ok.
E eu estou com a ideia que eles vão falar das novas classes que vais poder ter, né? De tanque, de scouting, whatever. E a fashion também de armaduras e clothing.
Ok, parece sim. Ok, parece sim. Vamos, então. Está tudo? Crimson, está tudo? Ok. Crimson, obrigado pela tua presença.
Crimson.
Bem, agora temos aí o mais difícil, não é? Pela ordem. Bem, agora temos aí o mais difícil. A seguir vem aqui o. Quem é que é? Que eu acho que não consigo ler bem. O género, quem é que é a seguir? Que eu acho que não consigo ler bem. Zé Farino. Quem é que é a seguir?
É o
Zé Farino. Não
Zé Farino. Grande Farino.
É tão grande.
Aí está ele.
O que é que contas? É tão
Então,
grande. O que é que contas?
Aqui é partilha lá.
eu sou pequenino. Pois, o que é que estamos à espera? Opa, nós
Tá,
gostávamos
e funciona.
que esta merda
Funciona.
funcionasse, que era o mais importante.
Se não funcionasse, a gente não jogava, pá. Se não
Eu
funcionasse, a
acho,
gente não jogava.
eu
pá.
acho que em termos de CitizenCon nós vamos ter. As minhas apostas é no. Vão falar outra vez do Dynamic Server Meshing, que agora já tem condições de avançar com isso e que é um blocker de uma série de coisas que eles querem implementar. Pois acho que tenho muita expectativa de Castra, mas acho que eles vão falar de Nix. Não é o que eu quero, é o que eles querem. Crafting, mais uma vez, mais sal na ferida, que é para a gente falar de base building de a seguir, mas crafting acho que vai aparecer. Vamos falar outra vez do. Opa, nós temos um inventário que funciona. Funciona, mas ele vai ter que ser outra vez alterado e quando for alterado vai continuar a ter
A cena é verdade. Ele funciona, né? Mas não é nada. Não é nada por user friendly, né? Não é nada por user friendly, né?
Outros jogos têm problemas de back-end. Este aqui é extraordinário. Pá, acho que é uma coisa tão básica e tão primária num jogo que, por favor, ponham lá o rework do inventário que a gente precisa. E acho que engineering vai ser uma das coisas das atividades que já ameaçaram meter cá fora, que afinal não funciona e que vamos para o patch a seguir, não funciona outra vez. Acho que agora desta vez vamos voltar a falar. Opa, a gente está a falar disto porque funciona. Vai funcionar. Vai funcionar. E acho que nos vão vender isso. Há aqui mais coisas que eles vão falar que estão.
Disseste 4 ou não foi? Foram
Aqui,
4, disseste 5?
que-
Eles dizem 5, ok.
Não.
Já disse as 5.
O server meshing, Nix, crafting, o inventário.
Inventory e o engineering.
Eu acho que vão ver aqui mais coisas que vamos falar, vamos ouvir. Há muita coisa que a gente quer ouvir. Eu quero ouvir falar sobre o inventário.
Era a tua. Se tivesses que escolher uma, era o seu inventário que punhas como prioridade. Destas todas. Destas todas.
Para avançar, até tenho que ver o cartão outra vez. Espera lá.
De que daquelas tu, pronto, mais ou menos estiveste agora a dizer, era o inventário, o fluxo dynamic do server meshing,
O que eu queria mesmo é saber quando é que o Squadron 42 está cá fora. Isso é que eu queria saber, sabes porquê? E não é porque eu quero o jogo, é porque eu quero que eles acabem com o desenvolvimento do Squadron 42.
Eu tenho que tomar uma notícia.
Isso é que eu queria.
Não é isso. É que o Squadron 42 que eles vão dizer quando vai sair é a primeira parte. Aquilo vai ter vários. Estás a saber? Isto é um chapter 1. Por isso, eu acredito que eles vão continuar a produzir o Squadron. Vai ser o Chapter 2, Chapter 3. Por isso, eles quando lançar o Chapter 1, o Chapter 1...
Desculpa, eu acho que a intensidade de produção durante um ano ou dois vai reduzir significativamente. Vais ter muito mais recursos disponíveis para começar a pôr o PU a trabalhar, porque eles depois de pôr a Squadron 42 no mercado, querem pôr o PU a trabalhar. E é verdade que vão querer fazer o 2 e o 3 e as continuações todas. Mas vai ficar, eu acho que, pelo menos durante um ano, nós devemos ter desenvolvimento para nós, para o PU. Quer dizer, eu sou suspeito porque eu também tenho o Squadron de 42.
Sim, e quem não te... Eu acho eu que qualquer pessoa que joga o Star Citizen vai querer jogar o Squadron, não é? Pronto. Vai querer
jogar.
Sim, claro.
É muito cinematográfico. Se calhar cinematográfico demais para algumas pessoas.
Não interessa, mas já passou tanto tempo que o queres ver, não é? Queres ter ali.
Basta, eles não tinham, eles não diziam, isto é para a malta mais velha. Mais velha não, que segue isto há mais tempo do que eu, deve saber isto melhor do que eu. Havia um semanáfico qualquer que tu, quando acabasses, ias ter acesso, não era? Não vi qualquer coisa assim. Mas entretanto, eles já lançaram a nave, não foi? Houve qualquer coisa, não foi? Eu tenho uma ideia que qualquer. F8, não é? F8, não é? Foi qualquer coisa, uma F8 que eles disseram que era só para. F8, não é? Foi qualquer coisa, uma F8 que eles disseram que era só para.
F8?
Não, houve. E eu sou um gajo de que sigo isto há menos tempo do que vocês. Pronto. Mas eu ouvi dizer. O que ouvi dizer porque é que era a F8. A F8 é que era exclusiva. Aliás, eles não queriam vender. Pois. Mas por exemplo, é assim, o Squadron, eu também quero que saia, claro que sim, mas a minha fé é, aliás, aquilo que eu sei, e estou mesmo a ver que aquilo vai continuar. Aliás, é como o Star Citizen é live, ok, vai ter vários patches, vai ser, mas o Squadron também vai ter vários capítulos. E eu acredito que o desenvolvimento ele vai continuar, ok?
Eu estou aqui a ver o bingo e se calhar das coisas mais simples, o map markers, das coisas mais simples que gostava que ficasse disponível, que temos muitas situações que nós precisávamos disto e...
Ok, já estamos como o Supermança diz. Isto tudo era um bom bingo para se eles pusessem isto tudo.
Não,
gente
isto
ficava
era.
tipo,
Quantas
"Foda-se."
colunas é que eles vão fazer deste bingo? Eram todas.
Pois, ou deviam. Pois claro, sim.
Pias.
Menos a
Querias,
13. Menos a 13. A 13 a gente não quer.
Não, eles
A
não vão
13 a
falar
gente não
sobre
quer.
isso.
A
13,
13
eu acho
dá
que vai ser
azar. A 13
vai
dá
ser um
azar.
assunto que não vão falar.
É.
Não há problemas
É um não
técnicos.
nicho. É um não nicho essa. Está visto?
É assim,
Olha,
eu também digo
É.
já, eu como pá, partilho também contigo que há certos temas mais importantes do que outros. Há aqui temas que são novas features, ok? Há aqui outros temas que são bases essenciais a qualquer jogo de que se quer,
eu
de quer ser um jogo,
eu
né?
sou um
Pronto.
jogador que gosta de levar as coisas
Correto.
atrás. Sou um hoarder epá, não consigo controlar isto. E às vezes o nequinho nem se consegue mexer em alguns jogos. E neste, por acaso, consegue, porque isto é um controle por volume. Ahm, Epá, e o inventário funciona mal, ou não carregar, ou chegares a um sítio e no que tens problemas de interação com os objetos. Pá, para mim é uma coisa que afeta-me aquilo que eu quero fazer. Pá, e muitas vezes acontece um gajo, olha, um Alt F4, volta outra vez a entrar porque vai resolver o problema das interações. Coisas simples, ou tu equipas qualquer coisa e não aparece no teu bonequinho, mas quando desequipas está lá tudo. Não estavas a ver, mas está lá tudo.
Ok,
Pá, inventário que é
Certo.
uma coisa que desde o 3.15 que a gente precisa de que funcione.
ok. Obrigado.
É
Olha,
isso, obrigadinho.
estão as tuas apostas marcadas e não
Boa
só,
sorte.
e as aspirações também assinadas. Obrigadinho pela tua contribuição. Então, e agora, género, quem é que temos aí a seguir?
Ora bem, então a seguir ao Farinho temos Grande Maniac.
Não sei que ele estava doentinho, será que ele consegue
Está
dizer alguma coisa?
mute, pois não sei.
Ele
O
estava
D-Maniac está em
doentinho.
mute.
Ele está só a ver, coitadinho. Tá.
Olha, D-Maniac, se estiveres só a ver as melhoras, hein? De qualquer das maneiras, pá, posso dizer-te que o D-Maniac deu as notas dele, apontou aqui, e para o D-Maniac temos os Social Systems, Crafting, FPS Scanning, Data Running e Straight to Playable Ship. Estas foram as escolhas do D-Maniac.
Ok. Olha, tínhamos o Sage disse que tinha ido no não sei aonde.
Sim,
Será
eu
que ele
sei
já está
que
aí?
estava fora, não sei.
Já estás aí, Sage? Se calhar não. Se ele não
Ainda.
tiver, então diz as
Deve andar a
opções
correr
dele.
atrás dos miúdos, está visto.
Então, se as opções deles, qual é que foram?
Ora bem, do Sage temos número 3, Nix, temos Dynamic Server, temos um New JPEG, 14, Inventory Rework e termina com Castra. Estas foram as opções do Sage.
Ok.
Yeah.
Ok.
É isso mesmo.
Então,
Pronto.
avancemos.
Quem é que temos aí? Temos o Luke.
Queres
Luke
dizer
Skywalker.
as tuas opções, Luke?
Ou ainda vais a tempo para escolher? Vê lá se tens o push total configurado. Por causa disso.
Então, enquanto ele está a ver isso, passamos ao pânico.
Sim, passamos.
Oi? Já estás aí.
Eita,
Ok, grande Luke.
então, olhando para este
imenso
maravilhoso
desculpas,
bingo.
mas isto é complicado com crianças, é complicado.
Então a gente não sabe. Opa, não te preocupes. Então não sei se tiveste tempo de dar aí uma vistinha de olhos aí nos tópicos do bingo. Queres-te arriscar em alguma coisa?
Não consegui ver nada, mas olha, sou apologista da parte do servidor de não ser estático. Estás a ver?
Ok, server meshing. Então.
Exatamente. Ou seja, é uma coisa que está sempre a sofrer mudanças e oscilações e coisas do género. E é bom que, por um lado, estática é mais rápido e por aí afora e não sei o quê, mas acho que não. Acho que é melhor ser assim. Em relação à cena do Bajó, eu concordo plenamente com o Bajó. Eu acho que devia haver algo mais no jogo, fazer algo que nos atraísse, algo que quando nós entramos no jogo pensamos: o que é que eu vou fazer hoje? Estás a ver? E que criasse aquele bichinho viciante, estás a ver? Tipo de progressão, certo? Não só pronto, também a parte das naves, um gajo para as peças das naves e não sei o que, evolução, não sei o que, mas poder também fazer algo mais. percebes? Porque é quase sempre a mesma coisa. Há de reparar que é quase sempre a mesma coisa.
Então, nesse sentido, arriscas-te o quê? Para ir para os social systems? Queres inserir essa parte dessa interação mais nos social systems? Ou estás a pensar noutro âmbito?
Eu acho que ele estava
Como te referes.
a falar por ser do crafting, mais para aí, como
Sim, exatamente.
Ok.
de teres uma
É assim, no
progressão.
fundo, o Social Systems acaba por ser igual. Assim, como todos os jogos, não é? Haver aquela cena da transação de itens e o pessoal poder vender ou comprar, ou trocar, estás a ver? Haver uma interação dessa maneira. De maneira que pudéssemos fomentar o mercado, ou seja, pudéssemos interagir com os outros e criar a parte social, não é? Não só as quests de bunga, bunkers e por aí fora, e fazer quests em conjunto e outras coisas mais também, que isso é super importante, mas o restante, estás a ver? Coisas que colassem realmente ao jogo. Pensasses, ei, pá, hoje tenho que ir fazer aquilo, porque me falta qualquer coisa, estás a ver?
Ok.
Sim, e o também estás a falar, pronto, quando a gente fala também, a progressão, bem como em qualquer jogo, não é? É importante porque é o que nos faz, lá está, como ele disse, e bem, voltar, né, ao jogo. Olha, tem aquilo, porque há
É isso que a cadar, exatamente.
porque é um objetivo, não é? E trabalhar para
Exatamente.
esse objetivo. Esperemos que também podemos trabalhar mais em conjunto, não é? Porque também é melhor assim que se, aliás, como o jogo é este tipo de jogos, convém que eles também tenham a parte social, lá está, também afinada, para podermos haver mais este trabalho conjunto, não é? Perdemos os marcadores de cada um e não saber o que é que o outro anda a fazer e tal, essas coisas também é importante para depois criamos aqui um bolo. Ok, então tu disseste crafting, server meshing, o dynamic, mais social systems, foi? Não, foste tu, género. Agora,
Não, isso fui eu que perguntei se referia a isso, mas não.
Lamento não ter dito mais nada, mas eu não vi.
Na boa,
Tu
pá.
te preocupes,
Mas foi aí, aliás, se estás a ver a stream, vês. Ou então também tens aí
Consegues.
no
Não, eu não
Tens aí
estou a
um
ver a
printzinho
stream
no
porque
tipo
eu não
Discord.
tinha.
Na
Eu
boa,
não tinha
na
link.
boa.
Pá.
Na
Eu não
boa.
tinha link aqui.
Tens um printzinho.
Mas
Opa,
tens
olha, muito
aí-
rapidamente temos os novos controles de Surface, Base Building,
Olha,
nova nave JPEG, criaturas novas, Quantum, marcadores.
No fundo, olha, o base building é importantíssimo também, certo? É algo que também te cola ao monitor. Todos os jogos sandbox e por aí fora têm milhares de jogadores, porque realmente é algo que te faz farmar para construir, farmar para implementar, estás a ver? E é mais um conteúdo, que é super aliciante.
Bom, ok.
Pronto. Obrigadinho, Luca.
Obrigado pela tua contribuição. Vá lá se apareces mais vezes.
Peço desculpa não ter feito os trabalhos de casa.
Ok, só obrigadinho. Ora, então temos a seguir, é assim, houve aqui uma pessoa que entrou mais tarde, por isso, mas a outra pessoa já cá estava antes, por isso vou dar lugar a ela se quiser, e depois passamos à outra. O Pânico, estás aí?
O Pânico, eu não sei se ele já está disponível, que ele andava também louco com o miúdo de um lado para o outro.
Esta gente que tem filhos, pá, não percebo. E jogam jogos, pá, ainda por cima. Pá, não dá.
Mas o Pânico por acaso tinha avisado isso, que podia não conseguir falar.
Na boa. Está-se bem, temos quem então?
É o Maverick.
Maverick. Estás aí, Maverick?
Espera, push to talk, tens de configurar o push to talk se não tiveres configurado. Este canal é só assim. Agora está o Maverick a descer nos mundos e fundos. Sabes como é que ele
Panic, ele está na piscina. Pronto, ok.
Oh, claro.
Pronto, isso é que é preciso. Eu também estava.
Então, enquanto o Maverick configura as coisinhas, já estás, Maverick? Ou não? Eu passei em cima do nome dele com o rato e isto brilhou.
Ok.
Passamos então ao Faraway, enquanto o Maverick configura as coisitas.
Ok.
Faraway, estás aí, não estás?
Estou sim, senhora.
Ora, aí está ele. Então, o que é que nos contas hoje? Já tens as tuas escolhas alinhavadas?
Já tenho, sim, senhora.
Então, fala a tua justiça.
Eu pensava que não, mas depois de ter visto umas coisinhas, acho que apareceu-os.
Olá, começar já assim?
É logo matar o elefante da sala.
Mas a Perseus achas que vai sair? É isso?
Eu acho que sim.
Sim.
Tenho a impressão que apareceu e muito provavelmente uma nave pequenina que já há algum tempo andavam a falar, que
Ok.
era a RSI Salvage, qualquer coisa assim.
Ok.
Acho que eles são capazes de introduzir assim uma nave pequenina para aliciar novos compradores.
Mas de salvage?
Sim, muito provavelmente algo que tenha a ver com salvage, porque eu também acho que eles vão mexer nessas mecânicas.
Sim. Não, isso está
Ok.
já está num. De que no PTU já estão essas alterações
É,
ou salvas, sim, já
que
está.
eu também acho que por isso também meto um ponto no engineering, que eles acho que eles estão
Ok.
acho que eles estão a apostar tanto no solo, PVP e tudo mais.
Então o novo pois o novo FPS não, esquece.
Não, se engineering, porque o
É,
engineering, eu percebo o que ele está a falar a nível de PVP.
Ah,
No engineering é a forma de tu poderes recuperar a tua nave, okay? Fazer repair, é isso que estás a dizer, não é?
mas
É esse,
misturar com o crafting também
certo,
ok.
certo.
e o Bounty Hunting 2.0, que eu acho que eles ainda são capazes de introduzir algumas missões a terminarem a captura no solo.
Ok.
Mas não é usar as cápsulas para.
Não, acho que ainda estamos longe disso, mas acho que provavelmente há de ser o início disso, passarmos, sei lá, iniciar a missão numa perseguição e depois ir a um local, aterrar e ir atrás dele.
Ok.
É.
Então, mais alguma?
Simular se calhar como se estivéssemos um bocadinho atrás de um player.
Sim,
Ui,
bounty hunting. Bem, mas,
exatamente, é mesmo isso. É mesmo
pois,
isso.
bounty hunting, a sério, né? Pois, claro. Não, sim. Aliás, aquilo que a gente está à espera é que seja como na vida real, chamemos assim, que o bounty hunting, entregares vivo, vais ter uma recompensa maior do que matar. E para isso acontecer, não é? Tens de ter meios para isso, não é? Pronto. Que hoje em dia ainda não temos, não é? Pronto. Por isso o bounty hunting não é só como é que quer dizer? Não há de ser só as missões que mudam. Tem que ser muita coisa que também tem que ser introduzida. O bounty hunting 2.0 para haver esse gameplay, né? Sabemos assim. Então, se houvesse um que tu realmente desejas mesmo que seja, qual é que escolhias?
Ui. Assim, eu acho que o Bounty Hunting 2.0 tenho gostado muito do que eles têm estado a fazer, a apostarem mais no solo, no solo, no chão.
Sim.
Acho que sim, acho que estou mais inclinado para aí. Sempre achei muita piada a isso.
Ok.
Boa noite, pessoal.
Ok. Olha o
Ok.
Pinheiro.
Pinheiro. Ok, tá bom. Acho que está.
Maravilha.
Tens as opções dele, já
Tem,
estão
sim senhor,
marcadas.
está aqui tudo
O
alinhado.
bingo.
Sim senhor.
All right.
Obrigadinho,
Obrigadinho.
Faroé.
Obrigado, Faroé, pela tua
Não sei se o Maverick já aí
participação.
anda. Maverick.
Já tens isso? Não,
Ah.
pelos vistos não.
O Maverick ainda não carregou no
A
botão.
Mia deve ter
Cabo na cabeça.
estragado o microfone. Então temos o
Então,
quebra.
temos o quebra.
Sim.
Já carregaste no botão do push to talk, não já?
Vamos esperar. Alô, quebra.
Estás em Nárnia, quebra.
O quebra tinha
Só
dado.
para saber se eu não estou desfasado, é 11 minutos e 46, né? 45, 44.
Não, 24 agora.
É mais ou menos. É 11 minutos. 11 minutos e uns trocos.
Estou a ver direto a página deles, não é suposto ser aí, há outro sítio.
Não, é aí.
Ok, olha, não temos o quebra.
Temos o
passar.
Pinheiro.
Temos o Pinheiro. Pronto, já estás aqui. Já que tens as. Não sei se tu já tinhas visto aqui o bingo. Já tinhas
Não,
tomado?
não.
Mas estás a ver ou não estás a ver? Tu estás a ver a stream?
Onde?
Ou também tens
Não,
aqui
tô.
no canal, também temos aí no canal do Citycom direto, está aí essa
Tens
imagem.
um print screen com
Tens
as
uma
opções.
imagenzinha com as 25 opções. Estás a ver?
Onde é que se vê isso? Não.
Ok.
Aqui no canal. Então, espera aí. Eu mando.
Porque no canal só vejo os vossos ecrãs, ou onde vocês supostamente fariam stream, não vejo mais nada.
Então espera. Espera. Não é no canal, é mais abaixo. Que disparate, é no canal de texto. Mas espera, eu passo-te agora aí por mensagem. Vê lá se recebeste.
Sim, estou a ver.
Ok.
Pronto, então o nosso objetivo é o pessoal escolhe 5 tópicos que acha que vão ser falados durante o CitizenCon.
Falados, não lançados.
Exatamente, falados. Estamos a falar de coisas que eles irão falar sobre durante o CitizenCon.
Straight to flyable de certeza absoluta.
Ok.
Up para Zeus.
Ok.
Nix.
Ok.
Vão dar mais um lamiré no Dynamic Server Meshing.
E a tua última escolha vai para.
Só um segundo. Como eu
Enquanto
suponho que eles neste evento eles só vão falar de coisas que vão acontecer durante este ano, já não vão falar de coisas futuras. Inventory e rework.
Ok. Mais um Inventory Rework.
Diz-me lá, e destas todas, qual é que tu gostavas mais que fosse? De que saísse este ano?
Era o Dynamic Server Meshing. Para mim era. E depois a seguir, se calhar mesmo o Nix.
Pois, como disse o
Achas que
Psycho.
faz falta mais um sistema?
Não, faz falta mais 90 sistemas, que era o que eles tinham
Pois,
anunciado.
mas isso a gente não sabe, mas isso a gente sabe que não vai acontecer, né? Sabe que
Se houver um Dynamic Server Meshing, faz sentido Nix. Se não houver um Dynamic Server Meshing, não faz sentido Nix. É só isso.
yeah. Eu por acaso também tinha, aliás, antes de começarmos a falar com vocês, nós tínhamos mais ou menos a conversar e começámos pelos temas. E eu também sou da opinião que Nix, Castra, Terra, ok, são sistemas que vão de vir. Em princípio, Nix há de ser próximo, pelos leaks que a gente já viu aí, mas acho que era muito importante termos também o fluxo dinâmico, o server meshing, porque epá, a gente temos notado, aliás, eu estou fartos de mudar, metem 17 shards instantane e 2 em Pyro, etc. Mas isso é tudo estático. E a gente nota que se por acaso metade do servidor, chamemos assim, decidir ir a Pyro, está tudo fodido. A gente já nota isso. Quando estás mais gente em Pyro, ou seja, como não há um dynamic, né? Porque é isso que vai levar, é quando vai ser muito mais fácil. E, ou seja, e tens três sistemas a gerir estaticamente, para mim, eu não sou um gajo nada técnico, mas pronto, mas acho que vai ser muito complicado de haver fosse uma estabilidade. Né? Com os cursos que eles têm, lógico, né? Claro. Se dessem mata de chaves a cada um.
Com static server meshing. Com
Sim.
já não faz.
Pois, é isso que eu estou a dizer. Ok. Está bem, Paine.
E
Obrigadinho
uma
pela
coisa que eu sei, que
diz.
eles vão falar, mas eu não apostei em engineering, vão falar com a certeza absoluta.
Uhum.
Mas eu não apostei nisso. E uma coisa
Ok.
que eu não vejo nesta tabela, acho que eles vão falar, e eu gostava que eles falassem, era mais gameplay na parte de FPS, como aconteceu agora com os Onyx e com o Hyperion. Eu acho que vai continuar essa linha e era muito bom que continuasse, porque as pessoas estão a curtir essa cena.
Sim,
Mas
para a
isto-
malta do FPS tem havido muito conteúdo, e é verdade, eles já têm posto muito conteúdo. Pronto, e é bom que continua assim.
É só por causa,
agora uma
mais
nova
por causa
compra,
do
não é?
lock. Sim, yeah. Mas, não, mas eu estava enganado. Eu disse já outro dia no WhatsApp que acho que eles vão usar o mesmo mesh ou o mesmo wireframe que usaram para a Valacar, mas não. Parece que é outro diferente mesmo, um wireframe diferente.
Ok.
Estava a chamá-los preguiçosos e por isso acho que não.
Não.
Mas já chega de cobras também, já podiam arranjar outra coisa.
É isso, só nesse sentido é que são preguiçosos.
Olha o ganda
Olha,
Sage.
aí já
Como é que é?
Então, olha, temos os 5 minutos até começar a live deles. A live, quer dizer, eu acho que não vai ser live, acho que vai ser gravado. Mas nestes 5 minutos,
A gente já vê.
quero só ouvir a tom do Sage. Tu tinhas falado, ora vamos aqui.
Eu pus
Coisa-
Nix, Castra. Eu não sei se vou falar dos dois, mas pelo menos num deles, acho que sim.
Ok, então.
Nós já tivemos leaks dos dois.
Certo. E diz-me uma coisa, pronto, fazemos assim, vamos começar pela última. Qual é que para ti era a feature ou o tema aqui que para ti é mais importante?
Que é preciso?
Sim, para ti qual é que achas
assim,
que é mais importante?
Do que falaste tanto também da parte social e isso fazia falta na parte de quality of life, né? Mas eu acho que para gameplay o base building vai fazer toda a diferença. Agora, base building não pode vir antes de crafting de certeza e crafting se calhar não pode vir antes de outras coisas. Por isso é por aí.
Ok,
É o espaço para o
visto.
base building para mim.
Certo.
Isso é que vai trazer um gameplay já de
Progressão.
E agora o
qualquer coisa
player
para
trading era
competir.
uma coisa.
Isso era fixe, quality of life, isso era, todas essas cenas são fixe, acredito que vão ser postas ao longo do tempo, mas em termos de gameplay mesmo, tipo, para o jogo ter uma sequência, um real competitividade, era base building.
Ok.
Mas
Mas acredito que ainda demora. Acredito que ainda demora.
Faz-te sentido, sim. Ok. 3 minutos, 4 minutos. Há alguém que entrou e quer.
Fez o Dark Tsunamis. Muito rapidamente, o Archer estava a conduzir, mas tenho aqui os pontos que ele falou. O Archer vai para Nix, para um novo JPEG, Map Markers, 24 é Engineering e termina com a Perseus.
Dark Tsunamis. Estás aí?
Queres mandar aí uns pontinhos para o ar? Ok.
Na minha opinião, se eles falarem de economy, era muito bom. É isso que faz o jogo mexer, na minha opinião.
Também era fixe.
Ok.
Dizes variação de preços e coisas desse género, não é?
Não é que seja variação de preços, é que os players, para poderem meter os preços deles de cada item, cenas assim.
Um marketplace.
Player trading.
Trading, ok. Player trading.
Ok.
Sim, porque eu acho que sinceramente o player trading devia estar com o social system, porque é tudo uma cena social.
Devia ser tudo.
Devia ser tudo a mesma coisa, pronto. E isso é um ponto muito. Ali está. Temos aqui coisas que são base de qualquer jogo, de qualquer MMO que tem que estar. Pronto. Há outras que a gente sabe que são features que podem aparecer mais tarde ou mais cedo, não fazem muita diferença. Há outras que são essenciais. Ok.
O Nicknax também funcionar como deve ser já faz muita falta.
Temos aqui mais alguém que queira dar as suas dicas antes de passarmos ao vídeo? Sky, eu estou-te a ver. Estou-te a ver, Sky.
Mandei uma palavrinha para
não queres dizer nada? Não? Estás-me a ignorar? Então a gente vamos só fazer, vamos fechar aqui o bingo. Quem apostou, quem não apostou, olha, tivesse apostado. Também isto também era só uma questão de gente. Temos aqui uma brincadeiras e isto entre nós, mais do que de ganhar alguma coisa. Eu digo, para mim, mais importante, se tivesse que pedir aqui continuo a dizer que começava pelo social, e quando digo social, falo também de economia, entre players, etc. Mas para mim. E tu, Jana, qual é que tinhas?
Eu adorava que eles tivessem um par de bolas para ir falar nos technical difficulties. muito sinceramente. Mas a gente sabe que é bem provável que isso não aconteça, portanto, eu fico-me pelo inventory rework, porque sabemos que é preciso. Já foi feito uma vez, mas em tanto tempo só uma vez é que pegaram nisto, é um bocado.
Ok.
É um bocado coisa, portanto.
Ok, então, entretanto,
Ok.
acho que já está
30
a
segundos.
começar aí o live. Vamos todos ver. Agora vamos ver todos.
A mim ainda falta 40 segundos.
Sim, mas aqui falta 20. Eu vou passar só aqui o som. Só um segundo. Vocês estão a ouvir o som? Está-se. Está tudo.
Vamos fazer uma aposta até que valor aqui se vai chegar negativo.
Vamos ver. Vamos ver agora. Pá, só pensar, malta, para não falar muito. Pode dizer, caralho!
This year has marked a turning point in Star
Não podemos bater palminhas. Eles batem todos
finally moved
palminhas.
past the question of whether we can build
Eita.
an architecture to deliver a universe with incredible detail at massive scale.
Bater palmas não me tocas no botão duplos do toque, por isso está tudo bem.
Server meshing has been working pretty much
Quem bater
flawlessly
palmas leva
at
ban
scale
para
for the
o resto
past
da
9
vida.
months. It has brought a more populated and active verse with up to 700 players online and in the same space at once. It's greatly increased server performance and delivered a much more responsive player experience. I couldn't be prouder of the team. They delivered something no other online game does presently. There may be other games out there that claim large player counts, or even the ability to mesh, but none do it at our detail, scale, and seamlessness. Of course, there will be continued improvements to server meshing and to Star Engine, but having moved past this last big technological hurdle has allowed us to finally focus on quality of life and stability improvements, something that has long been overdue. We're about to deliver our 9th patch in 10 months, with content that has brought Star Citizen storytelling into new and exciting directions. We pushed more than 24 features and more than 2,000 bug fixes. And while there is still a long way to go, the game has gotten more stable, performant, and fun as a result. We see this in player metrics. More of you play every day. The daily average users is up 45% from last year, and your play time is up 15%. So more people venture out into the verse and stay there longer than ever before. And through all that, we've told the dual stories of the Frontier Fighters Assault on Pyro and the moral compromises being made to combat the regen crisis. Now, as those stories come to a rest for the time being, it's time to look forward to the next chapter of Star Citizen, where the instability in Pyro and the callous actions of some pave the way to new adventures, new locations, and new threats. Last year, we announced our next Star Citizen would be Nyx, home to the People's Alliance of Levski and bordering the Vandal threat. Today, we're proud to share that your adventures in Nyx begin not next year, but next month. When Star Citizen's third system comes online in Alpha 4.4. 2 new systems in 1 year. That's only possible because of the tireless work of our development teams, server meshing accelerating what's possible, the support teams behind the scenes, and most importantly, all of you. Now, I do miss that we're not all together under one roof.
There you go.
this year.
Onde é que
In
vocês
many
estão a
ways, we're
ver
more
que
connected than
vocês estão a
ever.
ver que vocês
Across the
têm o feed
globe,
primeiro
many
que
of you
eu?
are gathering at watch parties, 9 of them with our developers in attendance, and
Os
countless
deles
others
em
springing
mute
up in
e vais para o
communities
original para
everywhere,
ver em direto.
all happening simultaneously today. So even if we're separated by oceans and continents, we're bound together by the same passion for space, for discovery, and for this incredible universe we're building together. Whether you're at home or alongside your crew at a watch party, grab a drink, sit back, and let us take you inside our up-and-coming plans for the next year of Star Citizen.
Let's go.
É isto.
Uau!
Olha o base building.
O Nix já cá está, pelos vistos.
Isto é um...
Yeah.
Aquilo era uma imagem de base building, não era?
Levski. Isto é Levski.
É Levski.
Achei pequenino, depois é leve, mas pode
Olha,
ser.
welcome to Nyx.
E viram o que passou ali?
Sim. É a nova.
Parecia uma Vanguard.
Sim,
With
uma
the
glide,
foundational technology
Ou
now
seja,
in
mesmo
gladiator,
a
place,
falar
aquela
cenas
de
rápido.
the
boarding.
content development of the game is no
Eu estou bem
longer
atrás, tipo
restricted,
20 segundos, acho eu.
allowing
Yeah, eu
us to
estou vendo o
forge
original e
ahead
estou bem atrasado.
with building out our first 5-star
É fresh.
systems.
Eu vi uma
Nyx
paladino.
will see the much-loved Levski landing zone added back to the verse, while also bringing you one of its most iconic landmarks, the Glacian Belt. Here, you'll experience a new combined arms operation that will introduce new factions and new adventures for you to discover. With this edition of our 3rd star system, we're also going to do something that's at the heart of the entire Star Citizen experience, and that is to build it right in front of you. As we have done this year, with the addition of several major locations, such as the Hathor facility or the Lazarus complex, we will continue to unveil new Nyx content throughout the year. It's a slightly different approach to how we deliver Pyro, but we feel this gets the content into your hands sooner and shows our intent as we continue our march towards 1.0. I'm so incredibly proud of the work our teams have done and are continuing to do, and we're excited to have you on this next step of our journey. And as with any journey in Star Citizen, that begins with a little story.
In 2025, we introduced 2 major storylines spanning multiple patches, creating a living backbone for adventure across the universe. The first was Pyro Must Burn. It connected Stanton to Pyro and introduced the Frontier Fighters, who are relentless, brutal, and determined to wipe out any threats that cross them. And with this month's release, you'll now take part in the conclusion to that storyline. The second was Science Run Amok, with the Regen Crisis throwing the Empire into chaos, and you all jumping in to help the various corporations respond. Through that journey, we pulled back the curtain on ASD and its shady practices, uncovering long-forgotten Onyx facilities, and met new characters like Dr. Logan Yorit and Detective Arkham Mella of the Hokro Agency. And just like the Pyro Must Burn storyline carried us into a new system, Science Run Amok is now setting the stage for Nyx, the next step in the larger story we're telling on the road to 1.0. As this new chapter of Star Citizen begins, let's hear from just a few of the team members working to bring this next era of our universe to life.
When the Nyx system was first discovered, the United Empire of Earth, the UE, came out and did scans and kind of found out that the system wasn't really worth settling. The planets were too hard to terraform, the resources were too tough to get, so they opened it up. And one company saw opportunity where the UE didn't, QV Planet Services. And so they expanded into the system and tried to mine as much as they could, making a very slim margin by the sheer quantity of resources they were pulling out.
The system itself sort of ran its course from sort of a large corporate interest perspective, and then was mostly left abandoned.
Now this ended up being the ideal situation for the People's Alliance, who were a group of revolutionaries who were trying to overthrow the dictatorship of the Messer regime that was going on in the Empire at the time.
So they went to the Nyx system and established what became known as Levski. They wanted to make it everything that the UEE wasn't at this time.
They set up what they saw as their ideal society, where everyone's voices would be heard, where everyone would be equal. But they've fallen onto hard times. So Nyx today is kind of at an interesting point in its history. Now that the UEE has kind of transformed itself into a democratic society, what is their role? What are the People's Alliance rebelling against? And they still see the Empire as being inherently unfair. They see their role as still trying to create a free and fair society. But on the other hand, they have more problems than ever, and there's new threats lurking around every corner. And they have to ask, are they prepared to handle that? Or do they need to turn to the UEE for help?
Making a star system is you approach it from kind of two angles in a weird way. What is this system bringing to the gallery? How does this new system plug into it, and what does it bring to the table from a sort of a flavor experience? We want to make sure that whatever it's bringing to the company is unique and has some flair to it.
So the Nix system is a remote system where people want to go and live free outside of the pressure and influence of the UEE. It's a remote and rugged system with a lot of hostility coming from the ever-present threat of Vandal.
It's kind of like a frontier-esque thing. It's not lawless like Pyro, it's just kind of out there. Pyro's more like a Mad Max wasteland, and Nix is more like Silverado or like Deadwood, right? It's kind of like a smaller scope.
The emptiness and the loneliness is the defining factor. You're still going to find gangs, you're still going to find hostile presences, but it's where people go if they want to live off the grid.
The People's Alliance is the main peacekeeping force in Nix.
They were unhappy with the direction that the Empire was going under the Messers. They got out. They said, we're just going to start from scratch, build our own society, but build it the way that we think it needs to be built.
They're not perfect. They're just people, but they're doing their best. They want to help keep Nix safe and make it prosper.
They are trying to do the best that they can, but are faced with the realities of dealing with people, which is tricky.
The Pyro Star is quite a warm star. Stanton Star is quite neutral. And the Nix is a little bit cooler. The system has its star, and it has this dark, really, really dense gas, sort of nebulous cloud. And it has points of light scattered around it, and those points of light in this gas cloud is really, really hazy. So because Nix is bordering Vandal space, it was important that we have a gap in the Nix gas cloud where you could sort of just, in between the clouds, see a piece of the Vandal space. It feels so close that it's even like protruding some red light. The level designers are using it as an actual visual indicator of where to place more dangerous POIs. So if you point your ship in the direction of it, you should find, as we build it out, that you will be in more and more danger. And I think that's really cool. To give more atmosphere, I was testing out adding some sort of space snowflakes, essentially. So when you look towards the sun, you can sort of see that sort of like sparkle. But then when you look away from the sun, you'll see the reflections and sort of like little glints of light. For the jump points in Nix, we'll have 2 on this release. We'll have one from Pyro to Nix and one from Stanton to Nix. It should be going from Nix to Castra, but we're essentially bypassing Castra temporarily.
Hey, we want to make sure you can get there any way you want.
Glacian Belt is a huge asteroid belt that is in sort of the middle of the system.
Glacian Belt is a combination of a bunch of technologies that we already had. The asteroid fields we use for planetary rings and the gas clouds, and it's combining them to make something completely new that we've just not seen before.
It's full of resources that are still left unharvested because it's kind of a tricky spot for mining. It's not the easiest place to go, but that means that there's still a lot of opportunity for independent miners to go out there.
So the rocks in Nix are a bit more sharp, like sorts of like icy look, rocky, cliff-like, very different from those in the Pyro and the Stanton.
One of the big differences too is all of that extra added movement that just adds a little bit of extra flair.
It's also a good hiding spot for people who are trying to elude capture, maybe set up ambushes, that type of stuff.
Always feel way more interesting flying in those spaces than just, through empty void.
And as we build out the Glacian Belt over the next year, lots of places to put new content.
Delamar is a very large asteroid in the Glacian Belt that QV Planet Services had built a mining base on that got taken over by the People's Alliance and renamed Levski.
Levski is our first and biggest social outpost for Nyx.
It's kind of like the place where you stop before you do your panning. So it's kind of a San Francisco before you go out to the gold rush.
It's going to be the central hub for trade and hauling and all of the commerce within Nyx and also from Nyx to other systems. But it does have a CD underlayer to it.
Over the years, you're sort of improving the generation method of those asteroids to culminate towards this specific point to make large, explorable location. When you fly towards the Levski, you see this huge gas ring around it, scattered small, mid-sized pieces of the asteroids.
Well, Levski is immediately apparently unique by the fact that it's a facility clamped onto the side of an asteroid. The breathtaking views of looking into the belt instantly gives it a unique charm and flavor.
As you approach, you'll initially see a very dramatic borehole that goes all the way through the asteroid. You'll also see growing out from there and alongside Levski, there will be landing pads along what I'd call the spine. Lots of industrial pipes and transport systems to bring out the refined mining materials when it was a mining station.
Before, we were using an actual planet, so we had all of the space available to place all of these structures. But now it kind of meant that we had to create an asteroid which has the appropriate size to.
If we took the whole shot of the asteroid, you will see that there is an area to fly underneath. We plan on bringing in hull C gameplay, so this is exterior cargo elevators, so as a team you will be able to load and unload cargo.
There's a lot more movement on the exterior, such as the cargo trains going around tracks. It's now going to be fully EVA-able. There will be walkways around the main landing zone to walk on using gravity plates, but you can drift off and kind of go wherever you want. They can explore fully the whole place, which is great.
Unlike the majority of anarchists living in Pyro, there are people here in Nyx that care.
It's not a downtrodden or derelict, dilapidated location. It has a sense of order.
But only where the People's Alliance has people living.
But we've had Levski before, and we've updated it quite substantially to be more in line with the newer features that have been put in since, but also visually, and there's been a lot of quality of life fixes that we've wanted to add and bring up to like a good standard for a landing zone.
Gracing the main lobby of Levski is a large statue of Anthony Tanaka, who was a child worker.
And was being worked to death, all of them were. And Anthony Tanaka just had a break and just said no, and stood up against the foremen, the supervisors, the managers, the guards, and was killed for it. And so he became a sort of a figurehead.
And kind of was one of the linchpin moments in seeing the fall of the Messer regime.
So if you take the elevator up to the top deck, you'll see the top view and the cargo area as well. So you can go through the cargo shop. You've got your normal kind of cargo needs. You'll have ability to trade and buy your tractor beam and other gear that you need. So if you were to die in the Nyx system, then one of the places you might come out from is the hospital in Levski, which is called the Mercy Hospital.
So Mercy Hospital is just basically, it's a local med station for all the residents of Levski, anybody traveling through the system. Again, they're trying to provide as good medical help for people as they can.
When you arrive at the HAB's location, you'll be presented with a lobby, elevator bank, and then you will take that transit to the HAB room. So within that room will be pods.
And that's where the original miners would have lived. They're not the nicest, and they're a bit messy, but they're a home for people in Levski. If you head down to the lower view deck, you'll go through into the Grand Barter, which is your main social and commercial area of Levski.
This is where you will see market sellers selling their wares. There will be stalls, there will be kind of more embedded shops.
And that includes things like Corderies, which is your armor shop, and also conscientious objects, which is for weapons. There's also one of my favorite places, Cafe Musée, which is where you can go down into some of the more rocky depths and grab yourself a drink, and you never know who you meet down there. If you explore a bit more around the Grand Barter, there's other routes around and little side passages. There's another shop that's away from that area called Teachers.
Teach's Ship Shop is basically where you would go if you were looking to pick up a used ship, buy some ship parts, fix up your old ship, find some new stuff, sell some scrap.
We've closed up Dumpers Depot for Levski, and everything that used to be sold there will now be sold at Teachers. Another new area, as well as the cargo shop that we've added, is the refinery deck for Levski. That's where you can take your processed goods, not just from Levski, but from the rest of the Nix system, and refine and sell those goods there. As a lot of the content in the next coming releases for Nix is going to be mining related. So it's super important that Levski is a really nice hub for mining type of gameplay. So we're really happy to bring Levski back into the game. It's been gone for quite a few years now.
I think it really provided a unique environment of it's run down, but the people who live there love it and are working their hardest to make it a great place to live.
This is a location that has a lot of nostalgia for you guys, and we don't want this just to be a re-release. We do want you to go, wow.
It's not going to be as complete as Pyro was when it first came out, but it's going to be our first iteration, and you're going to be able to see it grow as we work on it.
Like with everything, we're always learning and improving and finding new ways.
I mean, is there anything more Star Citizen than just building the system while the players watch us build it around them?
It's going to add a nice dynamic to Stanton and be a much more calming of, style system than Pyro.
The people that would have played it before are going to love to see this come back, and the people that haven't seen it before, it's going to be a great new location.
This is the first time that I'm going to be able to touch stuff and kind of bring my own content to the game, and that's really exciting to me.
Levski coming back into the game is a huge milestone personally for me. So I worked on the original quite some time ago, so seeing it come back and updated and improved and better is fantastic. So we've talked about Levski, we've talked about the Glacian Belt, but you're probably asking yourself, what's the new gameplay activity we're going to be doing? So let's find out.
Welcome to Nix is your first experience in a new space station in a new solar system.
It's a mystery to be solved. There's things for the player to explore and look into. There's going to be some twists and turns, of course, some combat, and if you're lucky enough to survive, maybe some good rewards.
This is basically a continuation of kind of our ASD storyline. So in the closing out what we had called our Science Run Amok storyline, we had revealed that ASD had been procuring sort of very black market illegal stuff in order to conduct their experiments. So this mission is basically going to be continuing on that trail.
So the Navy has learned that illegal tech is being sold in the UAE, and they're hiring Intersect to investigate. Intersect Defense Solutions is the leading military defense contractor in the UAE. So the Navy contracts with them a lot for doing various kind of military operations that they don't want to handle themselves. We didn't want players to be working directly for the Navy. The Navy just doesn't call up random citizens and ask like, hey, if you're free, can you fly a helicopter? I guess as a player, when you can think about like, oh, where am I going to be doing missions that are capital ship battles or large fleet scale stuff or military operations, that's all going to come from Intersect Defense Solutions. Intersect have discovered the source of the illegal tech is in the Nix system and an old abandoned QV Planet Services logistics station that's come back online.
So they want the players to figure out what's going on.
So when you come out of Quantum and you start your approach vector to the objective, you'll be weaving through asteroids, going through the Glacian Belt, and slowly the station will reveal itself. Now this is an old QV logistics station. It's pretty beat up, it's pretty derelict, but there's some points of interest that you'll spot as you go through. So the station itself shares design cues from old Pan Am stations found in Pyro. This architectural design found its way over to the Nix system as the system was being established, but you'll also see some additional design cues that QV Planetary Services were adding, so it's a nice transition architectural point. It's fairly skeletal in design. You'll see logistics yards and cargo yards, but also facilities pinned inside the asteroid, creating this network of facilities. You'll notice there's a Polaris near the main hub. It's not a normal Polaris. It's damaged, it's broken. It's not a standard corporate Polaris. So at this point, you should be asking yourself, who does this belong to? Away from the Polaris, you'll see struts leading to asteroid bases. Now these asteroid bases are locked, so you don't know exactly what's inside just yet. But all of this comes together to form the playground for the mission to take place. So not only is this facility unabandoned, but it's also under attack from a surprising but familiar foe.
Será?
Aí estão eles.
Será?
Foda-se.
Olha. Olha.
Não aparecerem a primeira vez, agora tinha que vir.
Olha quem é
Não
que
vem
está
para o
ali.
player, mas é seu inimigo principal, se calhar.
Viste qual era aquela grandalhona, não viste?
For the first time in the PU, the Vandal.
So the Vandal are a nomadic, very violent spacefaring race.
They've been striking out against outposts and such in the Nix system. They don't really know what they want, don't know why they're doing it, but it seems like whoever's running the station is really pissed them off.
Vandal raiding parties have been arriving in the system, and they're unaffiliated to any clan. There's small groups coming in and picking at them. But as time goes on, those raids are getting bigger and more frequent.
There'll be the scythes that you're familiar with, glaives and blades that we all know and hate, and a new craft for the PU.
There we go.
Vandal Stinger.
Nova nave?
Yeah, Vandal Stinger.
You will be contacted by some civilians on arrival asking you for help.
So at this point, you have a choice. You can either bug out, mission over, or join the fight. This will be the first time since the PU launched that you'll be able to fight against Vandal aggressor ships.
This fight will be intense. The player should be able to
O
deal with
desenho está
them,
muito fixe.
but they will have to be prepared and they'll have to come back in to fight off this initial wave.
Resta
and
saber
that
se
will
é
be the end.
JPEG ou Flyable.
Mais uma vez, pode não vir para os players. Pode ser só como inimigo.
Ok.
Which Intersect sort of will encourage you to do because it'll help further their investigation against what's happening here, why these QV stations have come back online.
You dock your ship, you board the station, and it turns out the inhabitants here have a real surprise for you.
Ui.
The player will be immediately ambushed. These guys are not your friends.
Of course, it's not going to be easy because the people that are inhabiting the station are going to fight you every step of the way.
The fight will be challenging, but this definitely will be the warm-up phase of this mission. This will be the players getting a sense of what exactly is going on there, who these new people are. They'll be in unfamiliar armor. They will be wielding unfamiliar weapons. and we want you to get a sense that you are in a new place, in a new territory, fighting a new faction.
So after you survive this initial ambush, you get back in touch with Intersec, and obviously the question is, who are these people? Why are they attacking? Why are the Vandal attacking them?
At this point, there's more going on here than anyone thought. The directive from Intersect is to explore the station and collect as much information as you possibly can.
Along the way, you're going to get to explore some new areas.
It's not just the space station. There's the disabled capital ship. There's asteroid bases nearby with obvious installations there, other forces that the Vandal have been attacking. There's a debris field.
Explore the locations in any order you want and try to find out who these people are and why the Vandal are after them.
You'll find new clues. You'll find ways to solve the puzzle of what's going on at the space station and find out what kind of loot they have for you now that you beat them.
And of course, this is a legally open station, so anything you find is yours to keep and sell, maybe even give to look. This isn't just a one-time event, this is a permanent sort of mission that we're going to be adding to the game.
You can go back and repeat this mission and find ways to do it even better, even faster.
There'll be a different story and different flavor. Obviously, we can't have the same thing happen every time. There'll be other missions that Intersec will offer to you based on the evidence that you found.
Now you know the real story, and you can start digging and giving more information to Intersec along the way.
I'm super excited.
Based on the information that they come to Tiponics.
I'm excited to bring cool Vandal ship combat to sea.
Players in the PU will now get a face down these awesome ships and get a taste of like we already have it in Arena Commander where you get to fight the Vandal swarm, and being able to do that in the PU is going to be, I think, a heck of a lot of fun.
So this marks a great milestone for us for not only pushing hard and adding great content this year, we're also being able to introduce the next star system and introducing the next landscape to tell new stories and add new gameplay beats into the ever-expanding universe. So we'll leave 4.4 there. If you're at one of the watch parties, please raise a toast to the great work that all the teams have been doing this year. And I'll be right back in just a few minutes to look ahead at some of the things coming in 2026.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Voyager Bar in beautiful scenic Orizon, where the staff of Cloud Imperium Games Manchester has gathered for their very own CitizenCon Direct Watch Party. As the dozens of such events happening at locations around the world, we've gathered today to watch this sneak peek at just a little of what the next year of Star Citizen has in store for everyone. Oh, that was really good, everybody. I'm Jared Huckabee, your host for the festivities and for the show today. And let me tell you, it's not a joke. It's not a gag. Next week, we're hitting our 9th patch in 10 months. And then in November, we're going to finish out the year strong with the long-awaited arrival of the Nyx system. And in case you missed it, because you were chatting with friends, it's not the lawless wasteland of Pyro many folks have been speculating, but an independent system with its own set of rules and laws and multiple ways to get there. It's an exciting time for everyone at Cloud Imperium Games because, as the architects of our persistent universe said at the start of the show, the foundational tech that we've been building for so many years has now unlocked us to bring more to Star Citizen than ever before as we continue our journey towards 1.0. Now, before we continue with the show, let's get a few housekeeping tasks out of the way. First, we're simulcast on YouTube and Twitch. So if you want the keen communities of Twitch or the 4K ultra high resolution of YouTube, you have your choice. Second, throughout the broadcast today, we want to see and hear what you have to say along the way, and you can tell us on social media by using #CitizenCon. We're especially interested to see any photos from those watch parties that are happening across the globe, and we're going to find some way to bring a few of them into the broadcast later in the program. Third, we've also had a CitizenCon contest going for people to create their very own slice of life in the PU videos, and we played the winning entries during our pre-show countdown. The offerings were super varied. The idea was to work with a team to show the life of a miner or a hauler or a bounty hunter or whatever. But one guy just said, I'm gonna make a video about how awesome I am. And I respect that. So shout out Nocturnal Revenant. I don't remember if you were one of the winners getting an L21 Wolf from Kruger for their efforts, but you won the coveted Disco Lando Complete Narcissist Award. Good job. And to all the winners, I'm sure someone will either be in touch with you about your wolves or they'll just show up on your accounts. I really don't know how that process works.
Quero uma ovelha.
Good to find out before the show, huh? He's so afraid. Either way, if you missed the pre-show and are curious if you won, you can check the replay after we're done here today. All right. I just realized that my bosses, Chris and Sandy, are sitting in a movie theater watch party in Switzerland right now. A completely captive audience. So real behind the scenes here. This is especially torturous for Chris right now because he's super excited about the next segment we've got coming up. Aren't you, Chris? And you're just sat there right now, forced to watch and listen to anything I say. Do either of you regret that decision so long ago? All right, so I've probably pushed my luck enough. Let's get to the next thing. When Nyx arrives next month, it'll have Levski, the Glacium Belt, and the new Welcome to Nyx operation we just discussed. But throughout 2026, we'll also continue to build new technologies that will not only set Nyx apart and give it a unique identity from its sibling star systems, but continue to set Star Citizen apart from other video games altogether. Now, at this
Mais uma promessa para os próximos 10 anos.
Supostamente é algo que vai sair agora em 2026.
Olha aí, tá. Vamos lá.
O meu jogo saiu em 2015.
Vamos lá ver. E o Cristo está todo desejoso de ver isto, vamos lá ver.
Breaking New Ground.
Ele não sabe, ele não conhece, nunca viu. Também é novidade para ele como é para nós.
At Cloud Imperium Games, we believe art inspires the best technology, and through the development of that technology,
Stream na Twitch tem delay de som.
to create even better art. When Genesis comes to the persistent universe starting next year, it will change how you experience every world, and not just in the building of the new planets for the Nyx system. We will also go back through Stanton and Pyro and reimagine them through the lens of our technology. Previously, and more traditionally, we'd create slices of biomes, like deserts or forests. This approach moved us forwards and got us this far, but solving the scale was always tricky. And for Star Citizen, we like to do scale on another level. Issues like seeing tiling from our hype maps from high altitude, or the unpredictable blending when two biomes connected, were common. But ultimately, things just never felt right. Our worlds were gorgeous, but to us, they still sometimes felt like interpretations. Now, this was a super hard problem, which we needed to solve at the scale for Star Citizen requires. We challenged ourselves to emulate nature in the most believable way, and not just on a planetary scale, but to our level of detail. With Genesis, we've made a complete paradigm shift to how we do things. Biomes are now created based on the physical data sets, with the assets being spawned whenever and wherever the correct criteria is found. So when you see a forest, it's no longer because an artist painstakingly crafted it there. It's now because it simply wants to be there. It fits inside our rules. Genesis also ties into our other play systems. Our new planets are built from the information we create for our different datasets, like height maps, humidity, temperature, soil types, soil amounts, geology erosion data.
Imitar bocadinho de leite.
This means you can now tell where to find valuable minerals as the geology looks like it would be suitable for it. Where scree piles exist below sheer cliff faces, and where rocks have broken off over time due to erosion. Of course, these new tools still give us the ability to direct the look and feel we want. The attention to detail from the tallest mountain to the smallest flower is our core DNA.
sentido, estava a dizer que esta.
With Genesis, we can now keep that detail-orientated mindset.
Novamente inventaram a roda, uma nova tecnologia.
And it provides the
O que vai
quantity.
implicar fazer os planetas todos.
Outra vez de ver, né?
Mas agora é só um
Genesis
pouco.
provides our planets with the
São os
ultimate
dados
sense
dos
of exploration and adventure.
Mais uma
Discovery
desculpa
in the
para se
purest
atrasarem no
sense.
desenvolvimento.
We want you to find that perfect place with the plants
Nossa, mas está
surviving and
incrível,
abundant
olha lá.
resources to harvest.
Isso também
This
não é Big Bang.
is a
Deves estar a ver a
major
afogar o
part
São
of what
gráficos.
ali.
exploration is for
Não
us.
são gráficos de jogo, não
We
contam.
want that feeling of finding a corner of the universe that you'll fall
Vou
in love
usar
with
bocado leves aqui
and
por
where
si
you want to
PS2.
settle down
Yeah,
and build your home.
fraquinhos.
Now I'm going to hand you over to Will to go deeper into what we have built that allows Genesis to realize our vision. As a reminder, some of the visuals you'll see will evolve and change as we continue our technological development and hone in on the final look for
Espero
Nyx.
que eles implementem phishing para ir ali à pesca.
Thanks, Ian. So, in case it's not already clear, Genesis is our name for a group of technologies that are improving our ability to build worlds, refining those that we've already created, and ultimately expanding our persistent universe to the scale and quality that we all expect. I work on planet tech, so let's talk about how that's continued to evolve since our presentation last year. And instead of just highlighting some really cool biomes that we can create, let's go ahead and show how all this work applies to the upcoming planets of Nyx. So there are 3 planets in Nyx. Nyx 3 is a gas giant, and I think it's blue. It's not going to surface. I don't really know.
E na moral.
Nyx 2 is a yellow, toxic. It's got like this high pressure atmosphere, and it's like a very volatile planet with high risk reward.
À borda de 1.2.
It's going to have some really interesting biomes for you to discover, but for now, just know it's going to be dangerous, because today we're going to focus on what we consider to be the hero planet of this system. Nyx 1 has got a rugged, remote beauty. It's got a diverse set of biomes, from weathered rocky mountain ranges to vast sweeping forests and grasslands, and from damp, expansive wetlands to claustrophobic, festering swamps. These core biome concepts give us a fantastic platform to hone our technology, in some cases because the current tech couldn't do them at all, or because we want to completely step up our game for them. So, let's approach this planet in much the same way that you, the player, will, from orbit. The orbit appearance of the planets going forward is far more tied to what is present on the surface. Previously, we had different data that drove the orbital and ground coloring. That's because the orbit was designed to look like vegetation that we'd place on the surface, and the ground coloring was trying to be a mix of soil, rock, and the organic compound coloring that forms the kind of colors there. Now we author much more of the data in a unified way. When you look at Earth, you see blues and greens for ocean and vegetation, and brown or yellowy tones for sand and soil. We wanted to keep it as simple as that. The same set of textures and data that define the color of the soil, sand, and rock on the ground are used to create the orbital look. We then assess the presence of vegetation and competition between different species on each part of the planet, and use that to blend in tones of green, including variations due to species health and the current season. This creates a far more complete image and allows you to identify features, geologies, and potential points of interest all the way from space. Let's go down to the surface and start with something closer to what you're used to, but in a whole new light. When we approached the surface of the planet, we wanted to start by focusing on just the soil and rock. One of the things that was missing from our terrain previously was simply feature complexity. Looking at our contemporaries, we lacked detail at the ground scale. To combat this, we've added a new layer of data. That layer is called the medium tiles. These are intelligently placed on top of the existing 4-kilometer terrain tiles based on slope, soil type, and other erosion data. And these medium tiles don't just create height changes, they also bring in local erosion data both for soil and bedrock size values. And this gives us a whole new level of terrain detail, of scale, and allows us to create far more unique locations across the planet. So now that we've nailed the surface, let's have a look at adding some rocks. We've now got 2 major contributors to the rock content of our planets. Firstly, long desired feature, cliffs. We are adding large scale, very detailed to all our cliffs based on the geology at a given location. This adds an exciting new dimension to steep slopes we simply couldn't get before. The second is a big one for you ground vehicle enthusiasts. Rocks are now found not scattered everywhere, like spilt popcorn at the cinema, but only in places you'd expect to find them, thanks to a brand new rock scattering algorithm that isn't annoying as hell.
Já podemos fazer rallies.
Physical data generated for each large and medium tile. Now rock distribution makes sense and has a physical basis. So if you're still crashing into them after this comes out, that's on you. The rock assets themselves have had a glow up too. We now create rock sets related to a particular geology that look like they originated from the same source. And this ties into how we'll be distributing
Falta ver como é que os veículos terrestres andam aqui.
Epá, pois.
So now that our base terrain and
Acho que é suposto haver com o Nix?
let's add some vegetation and explore
Isto
some
é Nix.
additional biomes.
Sim, mas essa aplicação da tecnologia.
Sim.
Depois vai fazer
Next one's
comparativamente
forests, grasslands,
o work dos outros.
trees,
Pois.
various grass
Aparentemente,
species,
sim.
rock formations, and they're found in all sorts of elevations like mountain valleys, open plains, and dense meadows. And when we start to add a bit of fresh water, they begin transitioning into more wetland type biomes. And while forests are super cool, let's focus on the grasslands and wetlands today. So, how are we making these look so great? Obviously, we've had grass before, but never meadows of it. Because until now, we haven't been able to spawn grass in large enough quantities or effectively represented at distance. So we're stepping up our game in terms of spawning, shaping, and shading grass. With Genesis, we now leverage GPU spawning to create vast quantities of assets across all biomes, whether it be dense meadows or more complex collections of ground cover like you can see in these wetlands. We are also able to fit our grass tiles to the ground by conforming them to the unique terrain underneath. Now we can finally cover complex terrain shapes with grass and ground cover assets, and as a result they are now gravity aligned, meaning each blade is oriented as you'd expect.
Ali na zona do Alentejo, não é?
Olha o carrinho.
Next, let's take a look at how we light our grass. Now, as in real life, the shading of a grass blade, or indeed a whole field of grass, is lit very differently to like a flat surface.
Adoro
We
isto.
now use a solution that
Só
shades
falta ali
meadows of
as
grass
bases.
far more like fur or hair.
Yeah.
And this, if you think about it, makes sense.
Primeiro
At a
tem que fazer o
distance,
alqueva,
a
pá.
field of grass is far more like a carpet or
Vai
cloth
alagar isto tudo.
than a flat surface. This improves how our grass looks from a near perspective, as well as bringing us nicely into how we're solving the
Mas isto é
distant
erva.
representation of grass. So, let's talk about the distance problem. One of our biggest achievements with Genesis is allowing us to build beautiful biomes out of flora and geology assets like a building set. Can I say Lego?
No.
Too late. But in the past, this broke down very quickly when objects simply disappeared when viewing the same biome from 10, 20, 100 kilometers away. Because we don't hide planetary transitions and allow you to view complex regions from very large distances, there are almost infinite perspectives from which you can see a location in Star Citizen. So, how can we afford to evaluate complex spawning logic at runtime for the entire swathes of the planet? Enter the virtual terrain. Virtual terrain, or VT for short, is how we now cache and represent our terrain at varying scales. This has been the enabler for all of the lovely advances in terrain complexity and asset spawning we've shown so far. And it's also how we now
Olha ali os
evaluate
land
and
claims.
represent vegetation from a distance. When creating the VT for each part of the terrain, we assess if vegetation
Quero ver como é que eles vão
is covered
descalçar a
with ground.
bota
If
de
so,
dar
what
corpo.
shading should be applied? For all of our
Fazes
biomes,
uma espécie de
we're
LODs.
now able to use the same shading model
Hã?
for the distant representation.
Isto é uma espécie de
as the
LODs,
close-up
como já
asset,
existe.
whether that's
Quanto
our
mais
lovely
distante
rolling
estás, maior é o
hills,
quadrado que vês.
some more dramatic rockscapes,
É claro, eles disseram que iam reduzir o número de
Those
cidades no
muggy
planeta e iam pôr
wetlands.
umas florestas para
or even
dizer
Em
que
Arcor?
vai produzir oxigênio. Sim.
Sim, sim.
So yeah, we didn't forget about the swamps, and they're coming to next one as well.
Eles não sabem o
Built
problema que
using
criaram com
lessons
Arcor.
learned and all the technologies we've developed, these swamps now spring into existence from the planetary data. This biome combines all of the elements from the other biomes we've shown you today, from water interaction, denser spawning, unique ground coverage, and I think it creates something really
É ali que mora o Yoda.
As galochas.
Já deste tu?
Anyway, that's our update on the
Oh,
planet
sweet
tech
you
portion
may be.
of Genesis and how we're using it right now to sculpt
É muito
the
bonito, mas
identity
este
of
planeta não
Next
existia na lore
One. And I
inicial.
hope you're as excited as we are to explore this and everything
Eles
we
são,
haven't shared
se
next year.
eles calçarem botas, eles andam a descalçar botas há muitos anos. De muita coisa. De que eles pensaram, de que na altura.
Não, até tu planetas habitáveis para o pessoal lá ir. Não, o pessoal cagava nisto.
We've always strived for. And meeting of technology and art that I truly believe.
Na realidade tem que meter o base building para fazer as pessoas andarem nos planetas.
And with that said, let's
Yeah.
move on to a little travel for
Deixar
the
apanhar
systems.
materiais, tipo assim, coisas pequenas.
Olha,
Isto que a gente quer.
O sistema de salto de novo outra vez. Que
Up
eu
until
gostava.
now, our mission system has been specific to the star system you're in, meaning a Stanton mission has to take place in the Stanton system, and a Pyro mission has to take place there. We've never been able to link these together, but with the introduction of our third star system, it's time for this to change. And that begins with the introduction of interstellar cargo.
What are you talking about today?
System-to-system hauling mission.
Não, mas isto é
Hauling is
fixe.
back.
No one said Holly was gone. He doesn't even play the game.
These are exactly what they say on the tin. Missions where you're going to start in, say, Stanton and end in Nix, taking various volumes of cargo between the stations. So there'll be high volumes of cargo that kind of fulfill the purpose for the Hull C and the other series of
Pô,
ships.
estava uma eternidade a sacar, mesmo. Para mim é o jogo cada vez
And
está
there'll be a
maior.
few sort of more direct routes.
So you might pick up some cargo from Ruin Station in Pyro and go through the jump point to Stanton and drop it off there at one of the
Já tem os novos cargo elevators.
So if you've never sort of experienced a jump point or going through it, these missions will require you to. They're no way limited. You can do them in any sort of ship you want, any size of ship. I'll be doing them in my great
Quer ver como, como é que eles vão proteger a moto? Dali.
Não protegem.
I've got a few
Contato de segurança.
Então ninguém faz
Fala
aquilo.
com outros jogadores.
Isso é todo um gameplay.
Não é isso.
Falas com outros jogadores.
Não é isso.
O pior é o docking não funcionar e uma coisa isso é pior do que...
Eu,
Maybe the mission giver has taken
normal,
off some
sem ser aqui,
pirates who are looking to get a
qual
hold of
sei
that cargo,
quantas vezes eu
as well
estava
as
a
express
encher a
missions,
nave,
which means
se vinha um player,
the deadline timers
grifo,
that you're used to in the regular
espetava-se
hauling
contra mim.
missions might get
Quantas
really
vezes?
tight and you've got to learn to be very fast.
Não é pirating, já não
All of
estamos
the
a falar
love and
disso.
care that has gone into hauling missions so
É só
far,
estupidez mesmo.
with the logistical network and making sure they make sense within the themes of the systems,
Olha,
just
olha.
as much love has gone into the
olha.
interstellar missions we're making now.
At the start of the show, we said we was going to build out the Nix system right in front of you after 4.4 launches next month,
4.4.
and why we want to keep as much of what
Next
we're doing
month.
behind closed doors, so you can
Novembro,
discover it for yourself,
Disseram.
in-game and on your own. We still are
Assim
excited
com a
to
feira.
share with
Feira
you
não é em
a
novembro.
brief look
Yeah.
at one of our
Yeah.
up-and-coming
Yeah.
locations, we're calling.
Ou seja, saltamos de 4.3.2 para 4.4.
Para vender.
Okay, so Rock Cracker, Jared, is our internal name.
Rock Cracker is where you have to crack
New mining
a
gameplay.
rock. It's a big rock. You want more?
So way out into the Kiga Belt, you'll find these old QV breaker stations. These were originally industrial facilities breaking apart large asteroids and mining them down. But since they've been mothballed and been left abandoned. So you're going to have to find your way inside and thinking about how do we bring this facility back to life. It's not just about flipping a switch. As you bring these stations back to life, you'll be lighting the beacon and calling attention to these long forgotten places.
One of the main features is the laser head, which will require certain things to get working. It's up to you and your friends to find how to get in.
There'll be a variety of options. Whether you're discovering the bowels of the station and mining your way through long-forgotten tunnels, or you're going through the main laser entrance. Now, as you're traversing through the facility, you'll find the old engine room. Now, there may be ways to bring the facility back to life, kickstart the engines, and bring power to different parts of the facility. Maybe eventually bringing the laser back online and cracking some rocks.
The secondary gameplay loop is FPS combat. You're not there by yourself.
There may be squatters and outlaws in these stations trying to stop you from what you want to do.
Uma nova de FPS.
Já.
Não é nada.
Não,
É caçador.
não,
é
shotgun.
Mas a outra não, a outra estava antes.
Mas
não era?
a primeira, yeah. A primeira era nova.
Acho que não era.
Nunca me estava a disparar.
So you found these old facilities, you've brought them back to life. You've systematically brought power to various functions of the facility. You've activated the laser. You've fired the laser.
Dá vibes da Estrela da Morte.
Broken apart the rock. And then you'll be able to fly your ship inside and see what's there.
Abre buraco, não é?
Olha mais buraco.
Uma pinheta.
Yeah.
Fiz uma pinhata.
You just get into your ship and fly in and start searching around and trying to find the pieces that you want to mine.
Ui.
Tem grande gameplay para o mining.
E agora é que o Maverick vai-se aprender a minar.
Because it's a sandbox activity.
É agora.
You can go into these whenever you want to.
This content is for players who enjoy mining, who enjoy exploration, investigation, and don't mind a little bit of FPS content while they're there.
It will be very new experience compared to any other asteroids, because this one, kind of like Alan and mine, will crack open and show its secret.
And one presumes you can make a decent amount of scratch in an asteroid that's big enough you fly your spaceship into it.
It wouldn't be worth doing if you couldn't make a good amount of coin. Yeah.
Making promises for the econ team.
Yeah. They've got to balance it.
It's for people who want a lot of minerals. When crafting comes in, when all the other mechanics and features that we want in the game for 1.0 come in, it will be a place where like an organization or a group of like 5-6 people could come and just get a monumental amount of minerals.
So that's a look at some of what's coming over the next 12 months. In addition to what we've shown, there'll be new mission packs tailored to the People's Alliance and their struggles. There'll be events that invest you into the evolving storyline of all three systems we'll have in the game. And of course, when we begin populating these with new planets, there'll be a whole host of ground-based POIs, settlements, and structures inhabited by those trying to make their way in the verse. And all of this in service of building star systems that complement the massive corporate yard of Stanton, the lawless ganking of Pyro, and now the new frontier of discovery for the Nyx system. Should I say ganking?
You already did. Good job, everyone. So yeah, a whole lot to take in there. Interstellar hauling is the beginning of a massive expansion to the mission system that'll let us connect these 3-star systems like never before. What else we got? Rockcracker. Rockcracker is just one of the next operations that'll be coming to the Nyx system in the first half of next year, where you're gonna fly into an asteroid and do that thing that miners love more than anything else. Complain about PvPers getting in their way. No, I'm being told it's mining. It's mining. And of course, one of the most anticipated features coming to Star Citizen, Genesis, and what that means for the planets of Star Citizen, including the ones already in there. So let's talk to Will Hain and find out more. And I'm just remembering that Will Hain is in France at the watch party. Okay, France. Ask Slarty Bartfast over there how they're going to use Genesis to update the planets and moons of Stanton and get back to me, all right? And see if we can get some fjords. What else we got? The CitizenCon Digital Goodies Pack. That's a hard thing to say. That went up for sale a couple weeks ago and has a whole bunch of mysterious items in it. And that's where I can tell you now that almost all of them are tied to the Nyx system in one way or another. So let's find out what's actually in there. There's a gunship flight suit and helmet. 2 armor sets from that mysterious faction causing a ruckus with and an intersect BDU sweater and outfit. A couple of crazy weapons that I'm certain we're going to learn about in just a few minutes. Some slick left side to celebrate the long-awaited addition of the Vanduul to Star Citizen, a cool Vanduul knife and adorable plushie, which I swear to love, squeeze and cherish forever. So yeah, it's a pretty solid haul for this year's Digital Goodies Pack, which you can still pick up right now on the RSI store. So now, let's go ahead and transition into our next segment. Much of what you see in the show today has been the culmination of a lot of people's work in... What's up? All right, I had a dream about like this once. Yeah. Okay, so against everyone's better judgment, the thing has finally happened. Can I help you?
How do you think the show's going?
Good. We're getting the Nyx star system and the Vanduul are coming.
Kind of been a lot of Nyx, right?
Well, yeah, but it's a major milestone and it deserves a major showcase celebrating everybody's hard work and...
You got more, right?
Well, yeah, there's spaceships coming up.
Cool.
Wow, it's like they only scanned the original community portion of me. If pictures steal your soul, imagine what face scanning and PCAP does.
Well, this has been super cringe. So I'm gonna head out.
Bye.
Oh, regular CitizenCon is still better. You should have done that.
Of course. Thank you. Part of me that isn't a soulless marketing puppet. All right. No. Let's just go to some spaceships, shall we?
Ora. Mais um
Moneymaker. I'm the vehicle director here at CIG.
Para os MBWs.
Where we're going to talk
Olá,
about coming to the persistent universe.
3. Ouvirem?
3. Então, vamos lá ver o que é que vem.
Quantas são JPEGs e quantas são?
The last year has been pretty hectic in terms of vehicle deliveries.
Só iam vender
The
JPEG.
most we've ever done in a 12-month period, and we've covered all the way from tiny little snubs all the way up to capital ships.
We've kind of filled out a few little gaps. We've introduced some new ships by some old manufacturers.
You had the Polaris come out, and obviously people have enjoyed playing with that. We snuck the Idris in without none of you expecting it for a while, and it's been a busy year. It's nice to start revisit some of the older catalog and some of the bigger ships again.
I think my favourite ship from the last year is a tie between the Wolf and the Golem.
Favourite ship in the last year? Probably the Wolf.
I feel like it's the obvious one. I'm trying to think of something else, but I really like the Wolf.
Everyone's mentioned the Wolf. The Wolf's everyone's favourite.
The Wolf, obviously, a return of Kruger, a completely new aesthetic to the game.
The Wolf was, it was kind of everything we set it out to be, and it revived an old manufacturer we've not seen it from a while, so yeah, I'm going to say the Wolf.
The Golem, I think, is just an incredibly well-formed ship in such a small package. It really just shows off that Drake aesthetic, giving you the absolute bare minimum needed to perform a role.
I honestly do really like the Zeus. I think it came out really well. It's kind of hard to pin down a favorite, to be honest, because we've released, a lot of really cool ships.
Next year, we've got some super exciting ships coming up. We're ticking off a few big ones, which is good. We're gonna see, again, maybe some ships from some manufacturers that don't have that many in their lineup. There's a few big challenging ones starting, so they're good. A breadth of ships, should we say.
The 3 new ships we're going to introduce today all tie in some way to the primary factions fighting over the Nyx system. We'll start with the People's Alliance and Anvil Aerospace. Anvil is a very military-based brand. It's been a brand that's in Star Citizen for a long time, fighting for lots of military contracts and lore, often up against Aegis, and to the point it actually beat Aegis in the past. You will be familiar with a lot of their ships' designs, such as the Hornet and Lightning. Earlier this year, we introduced the Anvil Asgard, based on the Valkyrie chassis, which is an extremely popular offering. And this year, we're bringing the concept ship we introduced last year, the Anvil Paladin, to life. The Paladin is a gunship from Anvil Aerospace designed to support ground operations.
A gunship is a ship that's designed to sustain a sustained firefight while dealing a lot of damage, also taking damage.
We don't have a lot of gunships in the game that are true dedicated gunships. They are quite a tricky archetype to control in game without being too powerful. It's designed with a lot of firepower and high armor and health, but very low maneuverability.
It's multi-crew, it's just built purely for battle. It's got lots of armor, lots of guns, big guns.
It's got a very similar squat kind of form to the Valkyrie. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, like a pit bull. Obviously a very menacing silhouette.
It looks quite forward-weighted in its stance. It feels like it's coming towards you, even when it's just sat still. And I think that's something that helps with it feeling intimidating.
Paladin já está na Pledge Store com o Warbond.
Swing round, following the ship round clockwise, what you'll then see is the first of the side turrets. If notice the canopy, you'll see that there's a fairly thick space between where the glass is and the hull steel. That's because that has which can come out and give you a little bit more cover.
It's got these really nice kind of dual connected wings with the turrets out on the sides, just to try and give as much kind of range for those turrets as we can get.
Which is controlled by one of the 2 remote stations underneath the bridge. If we come around to the rear, you'll see a rail. Now that rail mounts the main turret of the ship, which is controlled by the co-pilot.
So you've got full 360 coverage underneath, full 360 coverage
on top of it,
and then the side turrets also have 360 coverage.
Diz?
350.
350.
Subiu 50 paus.
Mas tem um Warbond. Fica menos 30 euros.
One of the unique things about the Paladin is all the turrets are remote and all the crew are located in this one central 2-story room.
A lot of our other gunships, the crew gets scattered across the ship, but with the Paladin, you're all sat together with a nice, cool experience, so you can really feel like you're playing as a group.
You've got the pilot, co-pilot up top, and you've got the gunners underneath, and I think that helps with the intention of what the ship does, because you've got this really nice kind of like gunner viewpoint down, kind of giving this lower coverage.
We added a glass floor just to keep the 2 connected. I think that really helps with the feeling that you're all working together and communicating.
That said, if you don't have the ability to fully crew a Paladin, you can still fly it and engage in combat solo.
Obviously not as good as if you have a full crew, but you can't always guarantee your friends are going to be online.
As a solo ship, it's pretty capable of doing a variety of missions within Star Citizen. So if you want to run this ship solo, you can take on combat missions, say other heavy fighters like the
Em cima sai 5, do lado sai 4.
Grande abuso. O piloto quando sai 4.
Coming aboard the Paladin, you enter into this sort of armory ready room area. You have a variety of suit lockers and weapon racks.
Everything's very militaristic, stripped back, simple. It's a very functional space, but you'll find everything you need in there.
One of the improvements from the original concept is we've added a small dedicated cargo bay area, allowing you to store actual SCU crates. Forward of that is the route to the lower gunners, and then upstairs you have the bridge area, and then off that central area you have the dual living quarters, one on the left, one on the right, and then at the rear
it's
you
quite
have the
correct.
main sort of engineering area where the majority of the components are. Also within the upper traversal area, you also have a little breakout area with seating, food machine, toilets, etc.
I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think we did a really nice job of taking what was there in the concept and adding an extra level of detail and trying to kind of push things forward.
I think it hits the nail in terms of a really solid.
Ela já aparece como flight ready.
Really
Vai sair
complementary to some
agora.
of the other ships in the Anvil lineup. So something like the
Aí
Valkyrie,
olha as
where you've got
diferenças.
this big dropship. You know, the Paladin's there just to make sure it's safe, make sure no one messes with you, and just basically get in its way.
The thing I like most, I think, about the Paladin is
feinha,
that it's very clearly got a crew of 4, and they all kind of work and operate under the same conditions. You know, the pilot, co-pilot, and the 2 gunners, they're basically all equal on the ship. There's one toilet, everyone's got the same style of bunk. When they're at work, everyone's at the front of the ship together.
It's really odd to me that you call that, you like that there's one toilet for 4 people.
Well, you know, it's you all work together. You're all equal at work. You're
The toilet seat never gets cold.
Toilet seat never gets cold.
Olha para isto, meu, de esperar.
So that's the Anvil Paladin. Whilst
Oi,
originally a
não
military
retornas.
built craft, it's the perfect ship to focus on the frontier, trying to defend against threats. And talking
Oi.
of threats, let's move to our next ship,
Oi.
a replica from Hesperia.
Afinal.
Hesperia are a high-end manufacturer.
Sério?
They
Parece
specialize
uma
in
sala-
recreating
nave um bocado
exotic
engraçada.
and particularly alien spacecraft.
Effectively, what they're doing is they're remanufacturing them, making them a little bit more suitable for kind of human flight. And the latest offering from
Vandal
Spirit is the
Stinger.
Vandal Stinger.
Yeah.
The Vandal are big, scary space aliens. They're like 7-foot tall, evil war race that sort of take over, steal technology, absorb it, fuse it all
Se
together
isto é
into
work in
their own
progress,
means.
se calhar é
They are
JP.
the relatively
JP,
nasty
yeah.
aliens that you sometimes hear about and haven't seen much of yet. They also make really cool spaceships.
The Stinger as a Vandal heavy fighter was reserved for their higher tier sort of ace pilots or high-ranking members within their clans.
Que é isto, meu?
The Stinger is a competitor to something like the
Ux,
FA.
aquela merda dispara ali com uma vez de vez em quando deve bater que nem.
Packs a lot of firepower in quite a large frame, so it's a very, very tanky spacecraft. The firepower is almost unrivaled in terms of just both the number and the size of them. So it's there for players who don't want agility. They don't want to be in and out quickly. They want to be there brawling with big guns and taking all the hits.
Ui.
One thing Hesperia have done differently with the Stinger is they have done away with the majority of the bespoke weapons.
They heard everyone's complaints about the glaive and blade
315
and have
paus.
stripped off
Já
the
está na
original
store também.
Vandal weapons to allow customization
nice.
for standard human weapons.
With the exception of the single-size 5-gun.
Because it was too well integrated into the hull, even for Hesperia to remove.
All the additional weapons
Com
are
LTI.
generic mounts, so they can be swapped
No.
with any of the
Mas-
existing
mas-
lineup that we
mas está
have in the
flight ready?
game. By doing this, it
Sim, sim.
provides greater flexibility to the end
Foda-se.
user,
Vandal
and
está
this is
flight
something
ready.
Hesperia
Não
wanted
diz,
to
não
do.
diz que está flight ready. Por acaso não diz.
Está tudo a dizer work in progress, então acho estranho.
Functionally, it is
E mesmo
the
os
same
gráficos nota-se
as
que
the
ainda é assim um
existing
bocado
size 5
texto.
plasma cannons on the Scythe and Glaive, but it is a sort of Gen 2 model and wraps it in a different aesthetic compared to those models. You'll see they're very much older Vandal styling. This is much newer Vandal styling, but underneath it is the same weapon that people have used for years.
Our job as the
É o mesmo preço que a
team
Glaive.
on the PU was to take
É, né?
the
Parece.
Stinger from the squadron team and prepare it for life in the PU. We
Pensava
took
que
an
ia ser mais
opportunity
cara,
to
digo já.
take,
Vou-
you know,
Desapareceram
really
com o
well-established
Alien
art
Tech.
style
Yeah, vai ser
and,
Alien.
you know, add extra details where needed.
So the exterior is a real blend of these kind
Um
of
heavy
parts
fighter,
and
acho,
this
cara.
kind of
290
alloys, kind of
com
wings,
Airbound.
and then underneath is real kind of
Não, está
organic
315.
structure
Ah, não,
that
esquece,
kind of
isto é
webs
antes.
all of the ship
Airbound.
together. You know, it connects the thrusters in, it connects all the kind of underside of the vehicle. and
32
pulls the
paus
whole ship
desde o
together.
boarding.
You can tell it's very different from the Vandal ships that are currently in the PU.
27
If you take, for
27
example,
euros.
the way the
MX.
cockpits are constructed,
Up at the front, we've got this big kind of bubble dome that
Merda,
gives the
que não
cockpit
deve
quite
ser,
a unique shape compared to some of our other ships, and also gives the pilot a unique position within the ship and kind of gives great visibility out the front.
Boarding the Stinger is a little unusual compared to other ships, obviously being alien in nature.
You're going through a ramp at the rear, and it leads you kind of straight up into the belly of the ship.
there's, you know, lots of organic detail, rib cages, kind of strange alien forms.
On entry of the cockpit, the seat kind of comes down towards you and you kind of climb over the back of it a bit like a motorbike.
You're basically riding into the cockpit. It feels very much like you're being like carried inside the cockpit.
Into the traditional prone flying pose that Vandal pilots use.
I'm very happy with this thing. I think the team done a really good job of making something that feels different, it feels alien, but it suits our lineup of ships and it suits our universe.
I think the guys did a really good job of respecting the direction and vision from the original Stinger and Vandal ships in Squadron.
We've tried to take a lot of inspiration from movies and other science fiction material, but I think it sits well within the Star Citizen universe.
So we have the Paladin for the People's Alliance. We have the Stinger for people that really like Vandal and want to try and pretend to be them. But what about the other mysterious faction we have running around?
So Gray Chowdhury got his start as he was working at a cargo center out in Odin. He started being able to get his hands on some stuff that other people couldn't, items that necessarily you couldn't find on a store shelf, but you wanted anyway.
I think Gray is interested in, happy customers. Gray just sees themselves as a conduit to get these things in the hands of people who would appreciate them.
And I think that his latest offering is really going to turn some heads.
Deve ser a nave do Gerard.
So the Shiv,
É a Black modificada.
we don't really know what it is, to be fair.
It's what happens when someone who is a genius at aeronautics and ship assembly is given free rein to do whatever they want. It's the best of whatever they can find lying around, put together to make something truly unique, wonderful, arguably beautiful, and just released out into the universe to see what happens.
At first glance at the exterior of the Shiv, I think most people will probably recognize there is more than a fair proportion of a Cutlass visible there, but it's had quite a few changes to it.
As you look a little bit closer, you'll start to pick out elements from other ships. You've got, main thrusters that are from the Valkyrie.
Even the bits that are obviously a Cutlass have had panels welded on, panels removed. The top turret, which is now remote, is just this hodgepodge amalgamation with multiple other ships' turrets. And then the changes continue onto the inside where, again, it sort of feels Cutlass-like, but then you'll find there's bits of Crusader ships just integrated into the wall instead of what was there originally.
It has lost its side entrance, some of its cargo capacity, but what it's gained is it's gained visually more powerful thrusters. It's gained a really kind of nice set of belly thrusters. It's upped its firepower.
As ever with the refined work from Gray's Market, you can see that great care was taken to the health and safety to ensure that there's no trip hazards anywhere.
The Shiv.
There's loose cables, panels are exposed.
Heavy
If you
fighter.
look carefully, you'll notice there are
Já
tools
está,
laying
já está
around
na
in the
loja,
cockpit.
150.
It's gained a toilet.
Yeah.
Bucket.
Yeah, it's one for doing stuff and then you need a second one to wash your hands. It's not an animal.
It has very much taken that ethos of Drake and moved it down a level, which I think is quite an achievement.
Just look at this thing. How do you even begin to describe the madness that created this? It's the Shiv.
This is something new and different for Star Citizen. Where did it come from?
I'm not going to answer that.
Just
Nope.
nothing. Just
No comment.
Gray goes to places and talks to people. I mean, there are just many ways to find these things that,
Like ready.
Are they legitimate, manufacturers? No. Are they operating on the right side of the law? Maybe not, but, money's money.
Does Gray have a motto, an ethos to live by?
It probably comes down
Está tudo flight ready.
Don't ask where I got it.
Não há
Don't ask how we
JPEGs
got it.
por enquanto.
Don't worry about it. Just ask if you want it.
Eu acho que eles
I think the
acabaram
Shiv
com os
is for
JPEGs,
someone that is looking
honestamente.
for something a bit different, a bit away from the
Deixa
norm.
ver.
They just want something
Eles,
that's
eles disseram que iam se acabar.
Definitely for people who like
Yeah.
a rustic aesthetic.
It's a fun ship, but it's also really strong, to be honest, and it's absolutely a statement.
Mas sou
I'm happy with
sincero,
the
esta
three ship
nova a mim não
offerings. They are
faz
obviously
sentido
very
nenhum.
combat heavy.
There's something we wouldn't normally release all at once, but honestly, all of them are a different statement and they're all cool.
As always, super
todas
excited to
feitas.
release these ships into the game and just see how players react
Todas
and
feitas.
play with them.
Yeah,
It's always
são
fun to
todas
see
feitas.
the quirks and the shenanigans that people get up to with them. So that's talking ship for another year. So, so I've just been informed that we have to do a bit of a timeshare agreement this year. So we have to throw it over to Alexei for Talking Weapons, which is an extremely original name.
I'm talking about the new edition that come out in October. The non-weapons are essentially the weapons that does not have a manufacturer, the weapons that you can think of that were made by space pirates.
Gray sells whatever he can sell.
Sometimes he gets his hands on some weapons that come from unknown origins.
He will sell things that no company in their right mind would ever make.
These are the most kind of like scrappy and taped together and the most kind of like pyro-ish weapons that you can think of.
Right now we're releasing 3 new weapons. Rocket launcher, the LMG, and the long-awaited space AK.
Tem muito vibe de...
I
Fallout
think this
mesmo,
is the
né?
one that
Muito
not
Fallout
only is
mesmo.
the most in demand, but
Olha
I've
uma
been
capa.
politely badgered about the most. It's a fun rifle that basically fires energy and ballistic in sequence. So your first shot will be your ballistic,
Ui.
your second shot will be the energy. You'll see on the top of the
São
arm
merdas de
there is a
Frankenstein.
bolt
Yeah.
that cycles the rounds, and
Que
that goes off
atrofiada.
with the ballistic shot, but it does not go off with the
Only
energy
esses
shot.
tipos
And
foram
that
extremos.
is
Mesmo
like a
Fallout,
really fun
man,
way
vibe.
of
Mesmo.
making a weapon work in kind of like a scrappy,
Poça.
glued together kind of aesthetic.
Olha tal, parece.
The LMG, this thing is a really fun, slow firing
Parece armas de guerrilha.
beast.
It will bring the
Yeah.
50 cal, and the only other weapons that have this right now in the verse are the Bearing sniper rifle and the Coda.
Honestly, if you even get hit by one, you just instant
Awesome.
tier 1 injury, back to medical.
Are you even trying anymore?
You know what? We made all these really complicated, fancy guns, and some people just want, I want a slow firing rifle. Give me a scrap together box that fires the biggest thing you can possibly find.
We don't have a rocket launcher of this caliber. It will be 3 grenades straight together that you pull into the tube and fire towards the enemies. The cool part about it will have an arming distance, so you know to be able to just point it towards an enemy.
It's also going to have a lot of spread. So essentially, you're going to have to get very close with your launcher to be able to blow up ships with a single payload in it. You can't actually aim with the apparatus because you've got the tube on your shoulder and you try to aim it, you'd have to physically put the tube in your head. So we were like, oh, we can't have an aim apparatus for this. And then we realized, like, it's in the spirit of being a tube that you can't use the aiming apparatus, and you just kind of like, all right, I think that's the middle of the screen, I'm going to hit it.
It's in the spirit of being a tube.
We're going to
Finalmente.
talk about binoculars. Binoculars are really cool. We don't have anything like this in the verse, and I think it will be
Visão
really
noturna, caralho,
convenient
foda-se.
to
Estamos no
use
futuro.
something
olha.
that's dedicated
Finalmente.
to look for the things, especially far away, instead of using your
Finalmente.
sniper scope, for example.
Will the binoculars have glint?
I'm not aware of this one. Probably not, because binoculars are not something that you need to be aware of.
It's really funny because obviously, due to glint gate, as you know, I beautifully internally call it, basically there was a lot of community feedback basically saying like, oh, I really like spotting people. I really like playing a spotter. And essentially I was like, oh, this community wants to be able to spot people from distances. And what can we make gadget-wise that doesn't require new features? And it was
a
like
sério, gênio.
binoculars.
Yeah.
And I
Just
prototyped
inventar
the thing,
binóculos
essentially
today.
a scope in a hat.
Na conversa.
So we've got some really cool binoculars coming that allow you to spot people from distances.
And how much damage do the binoculars do?
Depends on how you throw them.
Tá certo.
E Night
Thanks,
Vision
Alexei and Zach.
ainda nada.
That's the end of this segment for this year. So that's talking ship and weapons, unless anyone else is going to come and tell me something else. It's been an exciting year, and I think the next year of ships is going to be even more exciting and expansive than this year.
Já deu uma pista. Expansive.
3 fighters, ok.
3 Heavy Fighters.
3 Heavy Fighters.
Well.
3 armas.
That is an eclectic bunch of combat ships for the verse. And they're all available right now up on the RobertsSpaceIndustries.com store. Also, any minute now, there's going to be a PTU drop that includes
Night
all
Vision
3.
nas
So you can
naves.
fly them now ahead of their
Olha.
release next week when Alpha
Okay,
432
next week.
goes live. 3 combat ships. I wonder if they'll have any additional uses coming up later in the show. That's a hint. All right, what else can I shill? Oh, there's merch. We've got these cool new Levski desk mat things. These are always popular. There's some Levski metal posters on the store, and of course, love them or hate them, but you can't avoid them. There's this cool new Wickelow's Emporium t-shirt. Yeah. There's also a page published earlier today with a bunch of links to offerings from our third-party partners, from eye trackers to gaming chairs to voice packs to spaceship models from new partners like Planet Ring and Pigeon Spaceport and more. You can find all of that on the RSI website as well. And what else can I show? Oh, for those of you who are at watch parties, where is it? Challenge coins. Who doesn't love challenge coins? There's these lovely Levski themed challenge coins if you're attending one of the 9 official watch parties around the world. There's also a digital one of these in the goodies pack, so you check those out. Don't leave today without getting your Levski challenge coin. All right, what else can I shill? Now I'm kind of tired of shilling. All right, let's find out some more about where we are. Simon, can we move? Can we do? Oh, yeah, look at that. Okay, here we go. Pardon me. Here we go, excuse me. Hi, how you doing? Hey, that was my best angle. Hey, I gotta be careful. Last year I took 3 steps and tore a muscle. All right, so this is the 9th floor of CIG Manchester's Manchester office. This is the room where we have lunch every day, and if you get here early enough, croissants, if the weapons team hasn't stolen all of them. Over here, we got some cool mannequins representing different aspects of the game. You got Hurston security armor over here. That's really cool. You got your Dusters armor right here. You got this guy from a game that we're not talking about today. Marine armor. Yeah, it's all pretty cool. And then when you come over here, got a nice little recreation area. There's some sim pits over there for people who need to test that kind of stuff. We got this cool Krigeri Bengal carrier. Come over here, shoot it. Go down the nose here. Watch this. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna go over here. Can you see me? Hi, Mom. All right. So yeah, and what are you doing, Richard Towler?
Isto aqui é hangar, caralho.
All right. I thought John went to Washington, D.C. Let's see, what else we got? We got cool Voyager bar here. This is where we get all kinds of breakfast goodies, coffee, stuff like that. Hey, who remembers the big coffee controversy of 2016 where everybody took to Reddit and pondered the question, do devs deserve coffee? I do. You want to see what next year's big controversy is? Check this out. I'm gonna come over here. Do devs deserve coffee? Welcome to the Stargarita machine. Yeah.
Gosto bem do Design Horizon desta cena.
Do devs deserve frozen deliciousness? I don't know. Go to Reddit and let us know. All right, let's see. Let's go over here. Competition. Oh, competition winners. We have the list of competition winners. Can we put that on the screen? Yeah, sorry, competition winners. Remember the competition for the CitizenCon winners? The people made the videos, and we gave them a Kruger L21 Wolf. we actually have the names. They're behind me. Look. Oh. All right, that's cool. Also, everybody's got food. Do I have food here? Oh, somebody's supposed to save me pizza. All right, so we got, oh, you guys saved me a lot of pizza. Let's see, there's like 3 different kinds of pizza here. What if we just combine them into like a challenger situation here? That's a CitizenCon throwback if you're not familiar with. So I have now crafted my own pizza experience. And that is a terrible segue into our next segment. Gemma, Gemma, are you there?
Yes, Jared.
Can we fire up the FPS crafting segment while I try to chew this off camera?
We sure can. Roll BT.
FPS crafting.
Yeah.
Crafting.
Star Citizen, at its heart, will always be an enormous sandbox experience, where you can set out to tackle the universe in whatever ways you want. But that doesn't mean we can't shape parts of the universe here and there to better suit our needs. That goes for both you and us. Let's start this part of the show with a look at how crafting is going to change everything from resource gathering, refining, and even combat.
Está aqui marcado.
In the next few months.
FPS crafting.
First version of crafting is going to be quite small in scale. We're going to use it as a kind of a concentrated effort to allow the players to experience the initial UI, the flow of gathering materials of different quality, and using those to craft items which are better than what they have currently in the game.
The first version is going to be primarily FPS items that you can craft, weapons and armor. For Star Citizen, crafting is our primary progression mechanic. Star Citizen isn't your standard MMO. We don't have levels. We have ships, we have gear, we have things that you create in the world, you perfect, you research, you improve, and those items, those ships, those vehicles, the armor and weapons, that's how you progress in Star Citizen. Crafting isn't just a progression mechanic for creating new items, it's also a fundamental change to how we handle resources in the game. The materials that you collect, how you refine them, quality matters.
Crafting the weapons, you'll be able to have some quality materials to influence the item stats on those weapons.
It'll be somewhat random, potentially weighted on the location of the material. Some will have a higher chance of higher quality. And once you take those materials to your crafting bench, the fabricator, you can use them to craft, and the different attributes will be increased based on the quality of the materials you use. It's not just I know the quality that you know will get you the stats for the item. And it's not just mining, it's essentially every resource we can get our hands on.
To support this, we also need major changes to inventory, so that all of these new resources you're collecting, you can see what you have, you can order it better, you can understand what you have in your inventory.
We won't have the new refining crafting system yet. We'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials, which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprint and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's CitizenCon, with the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up, and your result will be produced sometime later. You'll be able to get the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar, or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
There'll be a small amount of blueprints you get credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
The advantage of crafting your own items is that they'll be better than anything that you could buy from shops. You'll be able to increase and improve item stats that are relevant to your gameplay. Maybe a gun will shoot faster, maybe it'll do some more damage, or your armor will have greater resistances against environmental effects or incoming fire. You might be wondering, what about the upgrade and research? That will be coming in a subsequent release. We're happy with this initial scope for crafting.
It's going to be so valuable for us as devs to kind of get the metrics in, get the feedback in, because then we can make the changes that, you know, they only become obvious, so to speak, when you have kind of mass amounts of data and mass amounts of users using it. So I'm very excited to get it out in the wild.
It's our intention to get crafting out on tech preview by the end of the year and get the testing we need so we can release it when it's ready.
Tech preview.
So that's one way you'll be crafting your own experiences in the Star Citizen universe. But what about us? Where do we get to hone in and craft a bespoke experience here and there, specifically tailored to individual or small group play? Well, that's where instancing comes in. And I'm going to let Benji tell you a little bit more.
We're bringing instancing to Star Citizen in 2026. Why are we doing it, and how will it work?
Dungeons.
So if you've played any content in 2025 in Star Citizen, you know that most of these areas were in actual PvP zones where other players could interfere. Instancing is a means to create an environment where designers can create tailored content that's tuned to a specific group size, but it is also protected from outside interference. It's not to say that we don't love PvP. I'm a PvP guy. PvP me, bro. But like most MMOs, a good balance between a dangerous overworld and a protected instances is needed. Right now, we don't have this ability, and this is something we really need in order to give you a sense of progression that is tailored and balanced to a tunable amount of groups, so the difficulty matches the group size. There's a beginning and an end. It doesn't mean that that doesn't fit in our overworld strategy, meaning getting to the instance is dangerous, exiting the instance is dangerous, or can be interfered with others. But at least when you're playing the content, we can actually make something that's curated for one experience. So before anybody says this is only a PvE thing, this technology can also be applied to unlock curated PvP experiences that are as seamless as the PvE ones. So it's not about one thing or the other, it's really about unlocking developers' ability to create curated content. So that said, how will it work? Instancing is really an evolution over static to dynamic. We want your instances to be as seamless as your instance hangers, meaning that when you take an elevator, you exit the elevator, you're inside the instance. A gateway opens, you cross that gateway, you're now into your instances. Could be also a quantum jump into an instance that you don't even see. The transition is just like a dynamic mesh transition. And so throughout the universe, we will be able to add these areas that are open or closed instances that allow you to join in either with a party and have a reserved instance for your party, or join an open instances that has a number of slots. And so some of those areas will be completely instanced on different servers. This allows us to leverage the compute power of the entire mesh. The closed ones will be really to drive one piece of content. You enter and exit seamlessly, just like we do with your instance hangers currently. Let's go and find out what one of our first instances will be.
Olha, voltou.
Siege of Arzen was an event we did previously, which created a gameplay scenario where the player had to run through and progress through contested islands of Arzen. This was a high-paced, high-intensity event, but it struggled a little bit from its technical execution. But now with the introduction of instancing, it gives us an opportunity to evolve it and modify it and make it better for you in a small group to work through that activity.
It is an event that I had the honor of pretty much solely designing and building all of the logic and having the stress of trying to get it working.
Agent Dooley from the CDF puts the call out for volunteers because basically the Nine Tails have taken over sort of a cluster of floating platforms in Orison.
and you are there to kill these sort of lieutenants of this terrorist organization and take back control. So in our current thinking, Siege of Orison is designed for about a 15 to 20 people fire team. So you, your friends, or your org will go in, you'll all have sort of dedicated roles.
50.
Some of you might be the tank who brings in the heavy weapons,
Yeah,
or pulls the fire. Some of you might sit at the back and be the sniper and pick people off a little bit further to make the advance easier. Some of you will be the medic who sole job is going to be revive and look after the rest of your team and the health. And some of you will be the people who push for the objectives to try and get sort of most of the mission done. The event was designed for about 15 to 30 people, but when we released it, we fixed the problem with 2 DGSs on one server that was fighting for resources. And with that, we also upped the player count to 100. So when it first debuted, it was already too full for what it was designed for.
It was a massive operation at the time. I think that bringing it back and giving it a refresher will be a fantastic addition back into the PU.
So imagine if Siege was a instance that you could go in and play solo.
Aquilo contava se funcionar bem,
that you could go with your friends, or you could join up with random players on the server. There's lots of ways that we want to take a look at Siege, how we can make it a more approachable piece of content.
I'm excited, to say the least, to bring back Siege of Orison to Star Citizen and to sort of have it be one of the first tests that we have for instancing and really get it back to sort of a core experience point where it should be. So while the next season is quite heavily focused on Nyx, I'm also very happy that we're not really ignoring our other 2 systems of Standard and Pyro, and we're going back there and we're sort of improving and expanding on the player's life in those 2 systems as well.
Então ainda vem qualquer coisa para Pyro ainda. Conversa.
Yes, and while things like Genesis, interstellar hauling, crafting, Siege of Orison, and more will reveal next year, will continue to bring life into the existing universe. Outside of Nyx, there's still one more exciting use for instancing we're building right now. It's an early look demo, and some of it is still in white box. But we're excited to share the first look at a major content release of 2026 and what it means for progression-based gameplay. As an evolution of our building interior initiative, you won't discover it by accident, because when it's complete, it will be found deep within the heart of Levski itself. This is the Municipal Works. So inside the facility, you'll find huge vaporization chambers, old processing plants, industrial tunnels, and eventually into the old turbines which are still pumping heat into the old rock.
So this is the true history of Levski. This is a place where you won't see in Lorville, you won't see in I-18 or the other landing zone. It's the pure basis of Levski. You will have, of course, metal and tunnels and more structural place, but you will also see a lot of rock and cave. So it's not a place you go to take vacation. It's really a place you go to fix stuff.
Not everybody has what it takes to come down there and do the job that needs to be done.
All of your sewage systems have stopped working. Everything's going to quite literally. And so the player is tasked with their group, most likely, to go into there, take out the outlaws, and get the facility working again.
So let me get this straight. This is literally a mission to fix the toilets of Levski.
It's not just the toilets. You're also trying to turn on the air. Air is a bit more important. It still works in Levski, but they have maybe polluted air because it's not being cleared properly. It's not just for the toilet.
Poop mission.
It's also a little bit more exciting than just going into some vents. It's like a 3-layered system where there's 3 chapters.
This will be mission-driven and repeatable. Everything from mining to salvage,
esta animação vai ser diferente.
to investigation, a variety of roles. Narratively, it's a real sandbox. Every progression you do will unlock a new area that will link back to previous areas, complexifying the play space.
We've been wanting to have more gameplay around landing zones for a long time. Now that we have instancing tech coming online, that allows us to do something that provides really cool gameplay close to a landing zone.
With the missions, That's what will create different overlays or change the spaces or change the progression, but it'll be the instancing which will enable us to create tailored content to you and your group. So you're going to be able to play a part of it, make your progress, and then log off. And then the next time you come online, you'll be able to pick up where you left off.
It's going to allow players to return back to it at different states depending on how much you've progressed and be able to keep it going until you've reached sort of the end of the whole 3 chapters.
Where you're not going to have other people getting in your way. It's you, your team, your party.
It's a way of giving players content where they know exactly where they're at and they can keep going back to it and improving sort of their own progress and ability to jump through them faster and faster times as well.
So that's a look at how we'll be allowing players and developers alike to create more crafted experiences within the greater sandbox of the persistent universe. Okay, is that it for me at this point, Jared?
Almost. Throw it back to me, and I've got one more for you after this.
Back to you, Jared.
Era aquilo que, aliás, isto foi uma conversa que a gente até já tinha tido anteriormente. Eles estão, a estar mais uma vez, a mudar um bocadinho a agulha em relação a certas coisas, porque tiveram-se que perceber que
eles já
há certas coisas, há certas coisas de que
that's a brief look at some
não
of the ways in which we're allowing you and our developers to craft a more curated Star Citizen experience. Now, at this point in the show, we are in the home
Tem que ser, porque isto fica grande demais assim. Depois de
one more segment to go. But before we do that, we wanted to check out. We said earlier in the show that we would look
Mas
at what you were
desde que a
saying
instância seja feita com elevadores e coisas assim, nem sequer notas que estás a fazer loading nem nada disso.
And it was
Não,
immediately apparent that we were going to lose our broadcast license, so we're not going to do that.
não é
We did find some social media stuff on
parte só,
Twitch.
É uma missão,
Twitter,
uma missão.
What is it called now? Let's see what this says. Let's see.
Quando forem todas assim.
Sim.
From, I'm not wearing my
Mas
glasses.
acredite,
Oh no.
isto é uma coisa. Eles vão começar a usar mais isto em outras coisas, não só
Sim, isto é um teste também. É o primeiro passo.
Nice to see you live, Jared.
É muito mais fácil gerir assim, né?
Isto é o começo, por exemplo, de teres uma casa em Lorville, por exemplo, tem que ser distanciada.
Que é uma coisa que é motivável para ali ir aos planetas.
Por exemplo. Mas isto eles já tinham mais ou menos conversado nisto.
É um bocado o que tu tens que usar, porque eles perceberam com os hangares, claro, senão não ias ter suficientes, né?
E acredita, e não sei como é que vai acontecer, isto é uma coisa do futuro, mas aquele carregares aquelas UCs ali na estação, das duas uma, ou tens aquilo muito bem protegido, ou então vai ter que ser distanciado, porque aquilo vai dar merda, mas é maluco. Não tinhas dúvidas.
Diria que aqueles braços estão todos cheios de torres.
Pois, não sei.
E o espaço é apertado, ninguém consegue chegar lá.
Há qualquer coisa,
honestamente acho que vai ser uma mistura das duas. Aquilo vai abrir sem a proteção, vai dar merda, vão-se aperceber e vão proteger.
Pois pode ser.
Tem que ser.
Boa noite.
Boa noite.
Olha, grande
Estás a ver por cima o C cheio de carga, vestes milhões e estás exposto ali a um gajo só porque lhe apetece, vai com a tua nave contra e arrebenta. Não faz sentido nenhum, ninguém vai fazer isso.
You might not assume this, but most game developers are not social butterflies. They tend to like to sit quietly in the dark at their computers.
Entrava ali, não entra aqui, ali e sai daqui.
And then I come in, like, hey, you want to be on video? And they're like, no.
É isto, ainda nem é mais
And I'm like, it's in your contract.
Já.
And they're like, oh yeah. So we thought.
Eu não estava bem na cama dela, eu até agora só queria estar na cama dela.
The folks in the
Na minha
editorial
cama.
department put together a brief montage of some of the most candid moments from the filming of CitizenCon over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to spend 2 minutes and take a look at that. Let's see what they put together.
How many CitizenCons have you performed in now?
Performed? Just the one. Nope, my first one. One last year. 2.
A few.
8 or 9?
Maybe 9 or 10?
Never.
Man, I don't know, man.
Did you like doing it?
Yes, I was completely terrified. It was good, a bit stressful.
The first live one, I was a mess.
Weird combination of going from insane highs to insane lows.
Live ones.
Because?
It's over.
The live ones are
pretty special.
Pre-samp's always fun, but the live events are special, aren't they?
Remember we were at that weird crack house in Ancoats? Right. I like the live ones. Oh, I mean, I love these digital ones. These are the best.
Every time I've done it, it has been a digital one, and I'd like to do one on stage.
Is it because you have a restraining order against you, or?
Didn't know if I was going to be sick, if I was going to lose my stomach.
How hard is it to keep your eyes open on stage?
That's another problem with the lights. Yeah, they're kind of, I'm realizing through this sentence that I'm closing my eyes as I speak. Do I do that a lot?
I am a very shy individual, so this is me just trying to get out of my shell.
Getting the crowd to react to the ideas that we've been working on for so long.
We can react. Watch. Everybody. Yay!
I can feel your passion from here.
Cut the camera.
Há gente muito esquisita a trabalhar ali.
Do I stand up? Do I sit down? Do I drink? Do I not? Do I talk?
This will be the best one yet. That's right. Because it's nice.
Eles mostram mesmo se foram obrigados a estar
It's all
ali.
supposed to be usable content because I can be different.
Of all your nicknames, why is Master your favorite?
I think you mean least favorite, because it has the
Ainda bem que estes gajos têm o Gerald para fazer a ligação desta merda toda.
I'll give you a new nickname by the end of this.
Sounds good. Could do
All
with
right,
one.
let's get started. So for those of you watching at home or at the watch parties, you're like, why are we showing that? I put that in there
Eu também
because
acho
I'm
que o
eternally
Sugere
grateful for
também
all
precisa
of the
evoluir bué.
CRG staff and developers
Nestes últimos
who
anos
take the time
evoluiu
to
bastante.
appear on these things, whether it's
yeah.
ISCL, CitizenCon, Walk on Stage, be
Pá, mas é um ótimo ponto de ligação. O homem tem boa onda.
It's not the easiest thing for everybody, and on behalf of the community, if I can speak for them in this regard, I want to say thank you for participating in these things each and every year that we have them. Now, let's wrap things up here. So, let's see, how do I want to do this? At this point, we've only got one major story left to tell. But before we do that, we wanted to do one more check-in on something we started last year. Last year, Rich Tyler took the stage and presented his roadmap to 1.0. And we didn't want to go an entire year without talking to the senior game director himself to get his update on that 1 year later. So we're going to throw it to him, and we're going to go to our last segment, and when we come back, we'll say our goodbyes. And if you're at a watch party, it's time to get... I was going to say... that's not a word I can say on the camera. Let's just go. Let's just throw it back to me. Go to me from 1 week ago.
Não vem coisa boa.
Já não vem
Last year, senior game
1.0.
director Rich Tyler took to the stage and revealed our plan for 1.0. Now, before we end this year's CitizenCon Direct, we wanted to take a few moments and follow up on that reveal from last
1.0 só vai sair agora quando sair Nix
and
completo.
look at the year ahead. So, Rich, thanks for taking the time to join us.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Everybody knows the only constant in game development is change. So I'm going to ask you outright, what's changed about the road to 1.0?
Well, fortunately nothing. It still remains our North Star. The team is busy working towards that goal in the background, and every patch this year has moved us towards that goal. And if you haven't watched the Star Citizen 1.0 presentation from last year, I highly recommend you do so, because everything in it is still relevant as of today.
You mentioned every patch this year has moved us towards that goal, so I want to dig deeper into that. We've done, at this point, 9 releases in this year, more than any year prior. How does each one of these not just sit as their own moment in time, but move us forward on this road to 1.0?
Well, last year I discussed the framework of 1.0, how all those complex systems can tie together. And one of the core aspects of that was the main story, which became the spine of the universe, which brought all of the locations, mission givers, guilds, and all the different areas of the game to the players. Now, what I didn't talk about from last year was all of the content that was going to support that framework, add the flesh to the bones, should we say. And I think that's where this year has moved us towards that goal. If you think about previous events of previous years, they've generally been locations that we've put into the verse, but they've been transient. We've taken them away, like Siege of Orison or Zenithreat. We've added them to game, and then they've been moved away. And I think with the addition of the patches this year, when you look at the Hathor facilities, Onyx facility, these are permanent additions to the world that not only have their own story as when we release them with the patches, but they'll also become points of interest and areas that the larger 1.0 narrative will utilize.
Since we're on story, I'm gonna stay with this here. Since we launched the PU back in 2015, it's always been this sandbox where players can do what they want. They can bring their own story to the verse, and that'll never change. But how important is it that we also build this concurrent narrative of our own, this crafted experience, if you will, alongside that?
Well, we're trying to create a living, breathing universe. And that includes both the player stories that you mentioned, that they can go and enjoy and create their own memories together. But it also means that we want to have a universe that gives back. We want areas and locations to feel like they're believable and real life locations. And if you look throughout this year and the patches that we've worked towards, we've had an overarching story that's moved from patch to patch, and we're going through some of those cycles right now. We've also been introducing mission content that has fully voiced dialogue and facial animation, which allows us to inject some of the meaning and the why to what you are doing as a player. And I think story is integral to Star Citizen as a connective tissue that ties all of these different complex systems together, because it takes players on that journey throughout the game.
To see this big turn this year to start injecting story into the verse, I think people are really responding to it. So everybody knows, and you mentioned just now, that this year we changed a whole lot about how we operate and how we release things. How do you think that's gone?
I think it's gone very well. I think if the mantra that I've always been pushing this year at the beginning of January was patch always goes. And I think this year has seen a different development strategy for how we've been moving the game forward. That's where this different strategy has allowed us to really take a wider approach. And we also have to remember that Star Citizen is played by tens of thousands of players every day. And while we have lofty future goals, we still have to make decisions right now that make the game fun for the people that are playing it all the time, playing it as their daily game. If you look at previous years, we've had to hold a patch back, we've had to make concessions, mainly due to around a feature may not have been ready or right to go into there.
There were 3 months, 4 months, sometimes 5 months between patches.
Exactly, and I don't think that's good for anybody. I don't think it's good for the players. I don't think it's good for the development team. I think it's better to have regular cadence of drops. One good example is this year for A Line of Mine. People probably don't know, but A Line of Mine, when you turned on the laser, it was actually supposed to reveal the Sandworm Valakar. And I played it, and it didn't hit the quality that I wanted to go into the game. So we changed, and I took it out, and I made that decision alongside Chris and Erin, and we've held that back, and we're going to work on that towards a future patch. But I think definitely the more regular cadences has had the multiple benefits, and like I said, I want to dispel a myth right here, right now. Like, features are still being worked on quite heavily in the background, from radar and scanning in FPS, the new quantum, to inventory, engineering, and crafting. And all of those features are going to be coming very, very soon for players to get their hands on. And, you know,
This is no
back to the start of the year, I would hope that we would have released more features, but I also think every decision we've made this year has been through the lens of making the live experience as stable and as good as possible.
Absolutely. All right, so that's a bit about the year before. And the year before has been, I've said this before, I've said it internally, I've said it out there, I'm going to say it right now again on camera. I think this has been the best year of Star Citizen ever, and I'm willing to look right into the camera and say that. The player numbers are up, engagement numbers are up, the length of the play sessions are up, bug numbers are down, 30K is gone. It's been a solid year. But CitizenCon isn't CitizenCon without talking about the future, so I want to move us to the future. We've talked about story, we've talked about this more diegetic, immersive universe and adding voice lines and stuff like this. But where do we go from here? Obviously that continues, but what more are we going to do to make this universe seem alive and real and breathing?
I think the biggest thing is to start having that conversation be two-way. So if you think about this year, like you mentioned, we've been having fully voiced NPCs, But a lot of those missions and those NPCs, they're talking to you, they're talking at you.
Right.
You don't get to talk back to them. Now, obviously, you get to interact with them through your actions. You get to go and do their mission, and you get to move that along, and then they talk to you again. But it's a one-way conversation.
We're missing that conversation wheel.
Exactly. The next part would be physical mission givers. That's something that we're going to be working towards very soon, with Battaglia being the first one coming back in the verse. And just to be clear, we will be bringing all the mission givers eventually back, and we want them to be an integral part of the verse and the story that players go and enjoy. We want the locations to be brought to life, and as we mentioned last year, we want to have interactive scenes that you can go and be part of. And obviously the full end goal is towards, you know, to have cinematic stories in the game, and that is what we're going to be pushing towards. Everything we do, every decision we make is through the lens of moving us closer to 1.0. It might sometimes be difficult to see why those decisions have been made at the time they've been made, but rest assured that Star Citizen 1.0 is still our North Star. That's what we're still aiming towards, and that's what we're going to be moving forward with every patch next year as well.
And remembering when mission givers were first introduced, they sometimes became a bottleneck. Is there a role in instancing, which we learned about earlier today? Is there a role for instancing in that, in helping with mission givers?
Yes, partially. It will be one mechanism that will allow us to have players go to their own individual area of the verse, have that conversation, and then go and continue on into the open world environment. So I think that's where, when we look at instancing provides us one tool that allows us to remove that bottleneck and provide a more seamless experience.
Happy you said that, because that's one of our last topics I want to get to, is how we reconcile instancing with the persistent universe. Like, for the last 10 years now, we've been building this giant, seamless, persistent universe where everybody can come in and play together. And it would be easy to have a first instinct reaction to the idea of instancing and say that's antithetical to everything that Star Citizen. But you mentioned last year these 3 pillars of building Star Citizen in the PU, and I want to know, you said nothing changed, but I want to ask you about this specifically. What are those 3 pillars again, and how does instancing fit within the greater design of Star Citizen?
So the 3 pillars I mentioned last year were open world. That's just like the missions you love today. You can go and play, there's other players there, and you can go and enjoy that together. Then we have instancing, which I'll talk about more, but similar to municipal works that we've talked about previously. And then the 3rd pillar was dynamic content, which would be content that's generated by the activities of the players. And I think it's very easy to become myopic around one specific thing when we're talking about it a lot, when it's the next stage of our development. And I think you could reverse it. If we'd have made a game that was all instance, and then I'd come on camera and said, hey guys, we're going to start doing it open world, it would be like, oh, is the game changing? Are we doing open world now? Is open world the new North Star that's going to take us this way? And it's not. It's just one more tool that's going to allow us to offer different and dynamic experiences for players to go and engage in. Now, when I talk about instancing isn't always what you'd imagine as a solo instance experience where it's only just you. We're going to have several different versions of instances. Some are going to be closed instances, which will be like the new player experience. We'll be able for you to go in by yourself, for us to teach you the ropes in a safe environment so that you can understand how to play the complex game that we've made. But we'll also have open instances like a cantina or a bar, where we might say, hey, we only want 50 people to come in here because we've got mission givers and we've got other NPCs for you to talk to, and you would just walk in and it would be seamless. You wouldn't know that there was an instance, it's not going to get a loading screen, you would just seamlessly walk into that location, it would be full of other players and NPCs, and you can go and enjoy the content. And that's, I think, something that instancing is going to provide us. It's going to give you a tool
com muitas
to
pessoas, né? E tem
different
que partilhar o
dynamic
mesmo
content or
NPCs, mesmo
curated
espaço.
content, as I'd say. It allows us to create experiences that are different to the open world experiences that we've already made. And it's not to say that we won't continue our open world development or only do instance content. It's going to be a mix. And like I said, this is one of the pillars that will move us towards 1.0.
Se não fosse isso, o World of Warcraft não tinha conseguido fazer nenhum lançamento de nenhum patch. Porque era muita gente a jogar no topo.
Não, mas a cena é que tu estás, por exemplo, no Open World, tens se fosse uma missão e quem matar-vos um bicho fora uma cave, tu entras e aquilo é seamless, tu entras numa instância e estão 10 ou 15, quando entram mais estão noutra instância logo, tu nem te percebes.
Sim, eu joguei o WoW muito tempo. O lançamento do Pandaria, por exemplo, estava todo instanciado, mas havia muita gente na minha instância, depois que saltava a distância, mas foi a única maneira de fazer aquilo, só não dá.
Já até ver se a gente consegue entrar nas instâncias uns dos outros, se ficamos separados.
Se estiveres em party,
é preferencial, mas se estás limitado a 50 pessoas, não entras. Imagina que nós conseguimos mais.
Se tens uma party de 100, não. Por exemplo.
Our intentions going forward
Tens que dividir as partes, que era o que fazíamos também no
Mas estava a dizer, tipo, instâncias ou missões para solo ou para 2 players, 3 players, tipo, a ver essa escolha.
More robust mining missions, more robust salvage missions. We're going to be working on refueling missions. And we want to make sure that each and every one of the ship has a purpose and has a reason to exist in the game. That's from the smallest Argo MPUV, as well as ground vehicles, all the way up to the large capital ships. We want to give them purpose, and I think it's something that we are absolutely aware of. We want to make sure that we're building that spectrum of content to allow players to go and engage in, and I think 2026 is going to be a very good year for Star Citizen, and I think there's going to be something that's very interesting and something that a lot of people have been waiting for, but rather than me spoil it, I'll let Ian and the team go into the details on that.
He had a twinkle in his eye. Ian, take it away.
Agora vem o...
Agora vem a Percebes, quer dizer?
Não, sei.
So the persistent universe has existed for over 10 years now. During that time, we've created lots of gameplay systems, we've added
Tem que falar do Squadron, não?
Não, já disseram que iam falar.
activities for different purposes: combat, cargo, mining, salvaging. But for combat ships, the only thing you've been able to do is fight other combat ships. In 2026, this changes. We're going to be delivering a spaceship-focused activity space which incentivizes the use of different gameplay roles. These are going to be scenarios where you're going to have to plan and strategize and create operational tactics to overcome your objective. So what you're going to see is very early. It's early in the pipeline process, and it's going to come online about mid next year. But we're really excited about the content we're creating. So we want to share with you a super early look at what we're building in a space we're calling Tactical Strike Groups.
The People's Alliance are still trying to get to the bottom of what this new faction is really doing in the Nyx system.
They've sent a capital ship to check out a station and run into more than they can take care of themselves.
Unfortunately, that team came under attack and members of their groups were taken hostage. Now they've reached out to Intersec, who've reached out to you to help recover the pilot. Of course, it's unwise to do this alone, so you'll need to put a team together to attack the station.
When you arrive, you will have this big asteroid, kind of broken asteroid, and on this you will have this space where you will find 3 big arms. You will see at the middle, you will have this big energy core. Everything here has a purpose. It's not just for the show, just something nice to see.
You'll see a People's Alliance-owned Idris that's just on the outside, and it's going to be getting harassed by this unknown faction that you have met before.
So your first objective here is to clear out the ships. There'll be waves of these ships, so this is where you want your light or your medium or your heavy fighters, whichever playstyle you prefer.
So while one part of your group is dealing with the fighters, now it's time to actually assault the station.
This station has been outfitted to resist all of the obvious way of attacks.
Somehow they've incorporated Vanduul capital ship killing turrets. These turrets ignore small fighters, and they have the firepower to destroy even the biggest capital ships.
Your Polaris and your Idris, if you get it close, it will get shredded. The idea of these is so we can sort of make it so we can mix up that ship combat, and not everyone can just bring the biggest ship and win just because they have the biggest ship.
You have to send out your best pilots to navigate the superstructure and take down anything that may damage your bigger ships. So at this point you're thinking, destroy the turrets. But it's not that easy. This turret has shields that you've never seen before. It won't take any kind of damage. Your missiles won't do anything, your lasers won't do anything, your ballistics won't do anything to them. But like everything, they do have a weakness. You have to cut the power to their shields. To do that, that actually brings you to your first objective, the power relays.
So the exterior has a number of power relays that are holding the doors closed so that you can't get in.
You have to find them, you have to target them, and you have to destroy them. But it may not be as easy as it seems.
Here's our first wrinkle. The power relays have their own shields that are resistant to energy-based attacks.
We know how much you like using laser repeaters, but so do these guys.
Capital ship can't get close enough because of the turrets.
So ships with explosive or ballistic ordnance will be needed here. That's torpedo ships like your Retaliator or Gladiator, or even another fighter with ballistics loadout. That's going to take you a while.
Once the power relays have been taken down, the station opens up.
And this is where things get really cool.
Now it's time for you to fly your ship inside the station.
Yeah, you, in your ship, fly into the superstructure of this station.
How cool is that?
I feel like this is a proud dad moment. Thank you, Jared.
We're just going to call it what it is. It's a trench run.
Trench run.
Disney vai fodê-los.
That's not. Isto é
As you
that's
enter
not
the
one again.
structure, you'll see cooling units along the sides that you'll need to take out.
A copiar o X-Wing, o TIE Fighter e agora a Estrela da Morte.
You'll fly into one, and then there'll be a door in the center, and then you'll move out into the trench.
You're either gonna do it multiple times, or you need to bring friends.
At this point, the core is still protected, so these are essentially strafing runs.
There are objects to avoid. You're going to have to be able to dodge. You're going to have to move quickly. You need an agile ship.
Because the shield generator that you're targeting is emitting lots of distortion damage.
So once the cooling units are out, that exposes the core to overheat, which means that you can attack it from the inside and also from exhaust ports on the outside of the station.
Eu vejo-os ali a disparar, mas na realidade eles já tinham ficado sem munição.
Isto é Star Wars, puro e duro. Isto
Eles reforçarem o uso para os torpedos, até mete dó.
Mesmo assim, acho que perderam uma oportunidade de acrescentar mais um gameplay aqui. Aquelas baterias, podia ser uma tactical team, uma dropship para ir lá desativar.
Também é. Daqui a missão
Deixa eu entrar na estação.
Ship hangar refueling
Olha,
and rearming.
show.
You're going to be able to land in the hangar of select ships and be able to use the same interface as you are right now at stations to refuel and rearm.
It's specifically for ships like the Idris and the Polaris and other ships that are designed to have other ships land inside them.
Of course, it'll be more than just those two ships, and you'll find out more once we get closer to release. But this is a really important feature that we're really excited to get out.
Kraken.
If you're not bringing your own Idris,
Yeah,
it
great.
has an Idris there that can provide a safe port in a storm, allow you to set back up and head back out.
And it's a good thing that you've rearmed and refueled too, because now another group of ships is coming to attack the People's Alliance Idris.
Isso é preciso uma data de balísticas da gente.
So while the fighters are protecting the Idris, what's happening at the station? Well, that's where the dropships come in.
Now you've got to take a fire team in. You've got to land. You've got to fight through an onslaught of FPS enemies that belong to this unknown faction, and you've got to open a hangar door which will allow you to release captives from the station.
E os NPCs vão estar todos em tipo.
Era o que eu estava a pensar. Espero que não seja preciso literalmente carregá-los ali para fora.
Vais ter disparos consciente e tractor bem para nada.
Isto vai ser instanciado.
So at this point, all of this sounds pretty simple.
Sim, mas não
Isto vai ser daquelas que vai ser instanciado com essa
So
sensação.
up until this point, it's just been you versus the enemies in the station.
Aí a tua
But the
resposta.
enemies in the station have their own enemies.
Tem bué de bom aspecto.
The Van Duel neighbors who really don't like these guys for some reason will come in and wreak havoc on everything.
And they're not going to discriminate between you and the station. They're out for blood. When you alert the Van Duel by destroying the power core that the station's now vulnerable, you're on a time limit. Van Duel are coming, they're going to come hard, they're going to keep coming, you're going to have one hell of a fight.
Preciso de muita gente para esta merda da ideia.
Conseguindo fazer isto é um gameplay brutal.
Olha.
A sério, já vem aparecer?
Mas isto não é Kingship, isto é outra.
Não é grandalhona?
É o equivalente da Idris.
Merchant, não é? Não.
Ei, mas foi só um
Não é
cheirinho.
Vandal.
Foi só um cheirinho.
É, mas deve ser o equivalente da Idris.
So throughout 2025, we created a variety of content. Some of it was very focused
Olha,
on
tem muito bom
FPS
aspecto,
combat.
digo-te já.
But personally, driving a more vehicle-based
Mas se for como o
experience was very
Theaters of War,
This is a
ainda estamos à espera.
defining statement that I want to do in 2026. We're a spaceship game. There are prized possessions. To
Merda
the
destas cenas com
objects
muitas
we
mãos e não
fall
sei
in
o quê,
love with.
depois o FPS também.
This is the content we want to create.
Vocês já
which
viram uma
creates
quantidade de merda
scenarios
que
and
pode
roles
jogar ali.
for you to use those spaceships. We won't get to all roles initially, but we should see this as a landmark, a position where we can see a gameplay space which incentivizes the use of different ships and scenarios to clear objectives and complete missions in a variety of roles.
Citizen aplica as leis
And
de
in the
Murphy.
future, we can use this to
Pode dar merda, dá merda.
So I hope you're all just as excited as I am for tactical strike groups. They're gonna be fantastic.
Não, eles vão mais longe do que não é suposto dar merda, também dá merda.
Gostei.
Okay.
Pá, criaram finalmente um gameplay para uma hora.
Só faltava
Para não
eles
criarem
dizerem
foi cenas da organização.
Isso, só faltava dizer que o social iam pôr essa merda. Porque isto de coisas instanciadas, em partes e o caralho, foda-se, com o sistema que temos hoje em dia, é uma merda, não é?
And for salvage ships, and as Rich said, we're currently building out even more for those, and our first refueling missions coming online in 2026. But combat missions. Oh, hi, Aaron Roberts.
O CK Vegas.
Olha, já viste quem é?
But finally having enough of the foundation in place that we can begin to build real spaceship operations, hesitation,
Hey,
you know,
vá lá,
in any
vá
other
lá.
MMO they'd call dungeons. It's really exciting for me, and that's why we're ending the show this year with that. So yeah, that's been CitizenCon Direct. Thank you for taking the time to share this with us. Again, this is just a glimpse at some of what's coming in 2026. I've seen the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat like, oh, you're spoiling everything. I promise, we ain't. So, before we let you go,
Bom, né?
that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as with every CitizenCon, the last word shouldn't be mine. It should belong to our founders and CEO. So take it away, Chris Roberts.
I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into some of what the team is cooking for the near future. Of course, we're not going to spoil everything that's currently in progress, and many features we haven't discussed today are in active development, like base building, social, and trade tools that are very much a priority. These, along with bringing the final polished features from Squadron 42 into the persistent universe, will make next year the most exciting yet for Star Citizen. Finally, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to everyone at CIG for working so tirelessly and with so much passion to deliver something that is already special and will only get more so as we continue. And of course, to all of you for making all this possible with your support and feedback. We couldn't do this without all of you, something that I and the team appreciate every day. We are very lucky to be allowed the time and the money to build a game of all of our dreams, something that is only more apparent as the video game business becomes more monolithic. We are one of the few large independents left standing, and there is no way we would be allowed to dream as big as we are on an original game and take the time to achieve that dream if we were part or funded by any of the few remaining mega game companies. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the verse this coming year.
É isso?
Estava assim? Estás a ver?
Eu fiz o quê?
É direct.
Eu queria saber mais.
Eu prefiro assim do que um
Ora
monte
bem.
de merdas que a gente só vai ver daqui a 10 anos. Prefiro assim.
Key takeaways.
Estas aqui só vamos ver daqui a 3.
Hã?
Pronto.
Três novas naves. Gameplay,
Três novas naves,
main
vamos ver.
ou de indústria. É loucura. Sim, já tens as naves disponíveis.
Vamos
Flight
ver.
ready.
Agora quer que os outros comprem, façam a demonstração, que é para ver. Vale a pena.
Novo loot.
Aquela nova Cutlass.
Novos biomes. Gênesis,
fraquinha.
a treta da tecnologia dos planetas ou a criação de renderização, não sei o que mais. Tens as novas missões de cargo interstellar. É meu. FPS
Olha,
combate.
quem é que ganhou o bingo?
Vou-te já dizer que ninguém ganhou.
Eu acho que ninguém ganhou, já.
Ninguém ganhou.
Ninguém ganhou?
Tiveste, não.
Pois ninguém
Tiveste pelo menos.
Ninguém fez bingo.
Olha, então tens o Boring com 3 temas
Pois é.
certos. Tens o Pânico com 2, Proença com 2, Parino com 4, Covas Gamer com 3, o Sage com 3, o Crimson meteu 2, D-Maniac com 2, o Luke Skywalker 2, o Bevering não chegou a responder. Temos o Faraway com 2, Captain Archer com 1, o Pinheiro meteu 3 e Dark Tsunamis não.
Não,
Psycho também não.
Nada.
E eu meti só o Inventory Rework.
E eu?
Portanto, estás a dizer que ninguém fez bingo, é isso?
Ninguém fez bingo.
Yeah.
Não,
Foda-se.
a mim falhou-me
Ei,
falhou-me
olha, pronto, olha,
a criatura.
eu tinha uma Idris para oferecer. Já não vou oferecer.
Olha, foda-se. Foda-se.
Eu tinha uma Idris para oferecer. Olha, malta, desculpem lá, ninguém fez bingo. Temos pena. Ai, caralho. Então,
Olha, mas gostei muito da stream.
especialmente a última parte. A parte
Depois das
naves.
Pieces.
Depois das
Buena.
naves. Depois das naves.
Excitação. Que excitação. Tactical Strike Pieces.
Não, e gostei de serem distanciadas, craftadas.
Eu gostei de tudo. Eu gostei de tudo, foda-se. Porque tudo pareceu atingível. Não é aquelas merdas de, olha, estamos a fazer 38 sistemas agora ao mesmo tempo que vão sair daqui a 2 meses. Não, não vão.
Era o que eu estava a dizer. Foi mais curto, foi mais simples, mas é este ano. É diferente.
É diferente, e o próximo patch é todo de indústria, vão-se foder, pô caralho.
Embora as
Como
naves.
assim é toda a indústria com esta merda toda é só combate que eles mostraram, as missões?
Não, eu estou a falar, mas é na relação ao sistema. Já está a falar do sistema.
Eu estou a falar do sistema, Nix. É cargo, mining cargo, capinta, foda-se.
Lembra-te uma coisa, o único sítio onde vais refinar lá é aquela estação.
Certo, mas não precisas de ser lá.
Tens de ir para outros sítios, se fores lá
Porque vai ser
refinar,
muito
para não estás a
seguro
apertar o sistema.
fazeres o jump gate assim, cheio de valor.
Toda a gente vai ficar plantada e a roubar.
Cheio de contêiner
Toda a gente vai ficar plantada a roubar. É só o que eu quero dizer.
Não sejas assim. Não mandas em
Olha lá,
mim. Já
as
tenho a
duas
minha mulher para
vezes,
mandar em mim.
as duas vezes de que tu vistes 2 miners foram a ser os atacados. lá no vídeo. Por isso é sempre. Mas a gente já está habituado a essas coisas. Nada. Então deixa lá ver. Esta chama-se Grey Market Shiv. Espera aí, deixa-me
Se
pôr isto
quiserem ver, entrem na stream.
Já estás a experimentar?
Já tens.
Isso é o quê? Mas elas ainda só estão no PTU, não é? Já
É
não
sim,
estão no jogo.
PTU só. Mas para a semana, quando sair o patch, eles queriam lançar hoje ou ontem o patch, só que aquilo ainda não está ainda como deve ser, por isso eles.
Não.
Mas já tens as 3, Proença? Ou...
Já viste a cara do gajo, mano?
Vocês sabem o que é que essa nave quer dizer? Sabem o que é que essa nave quer dizer?
Sabem.
É feito aos bocados com outras naves.
Vamos para cima.
Olha, mas a coisa não está. A Speedy não está. A outra Speedy ainda não está.
A Speedy não está? Era a que eu queria ver.
Mas está bem, mas quero muito que te fodas.
Porque aquela a meia Cutlass não compensa muito, sinceramente.
Então.
Porque aquilo para o piloto só tem 2 size 4, não tem mais nada. Depois tem uma torre.
Então, mas onde é que está o. Oi. Shiv. Ok. E a Paladin, onde é que está as pinturas de.
Essa merda vai ser um futuro gameplay de construir naves com bocados de outras naves, vais ver.
Oh, claro.
Eles já tinham falado nisso no último CitizenCon.
Supostamente alguns módulos deviam caber no outro lado, então por que não? Shift está 235 paus, mas o Warbound, né? Shift design, ok. Mas queria ver, eu vou pôr aqui, não é? Se consigo pôr aqui na stream. Se consigo pôr aqui.
Olha, só uma pergunta. Estamos aqui muitos, bora fazer uma Valacar?
É um Heavy Fighter.
Eu agora quero digerir um bocadinho. Onde é que está aqui?
Agora quero ver aqui as cenas.
Olha que nunca vi o Valacar em in-game, por acaso. Nunca mesmo.
Nunca viste?
Nope.
Temos que ir fazer isso depois.
Só vi em vídeos, mas tipo, a jogar mesmo não.
Tens que experimentar isso com a gente.
Eu sou um lugar tão grande para uma coisinha pequenina.
Um dia desses, já.
Então, eu chamei a Paladin e vem isto. Está bonito o PTU.
Coisa é o que tu queres, outra coisa é o que tu mereces, estás a perceber? É essa a cena.
Não, é tudo certo, é tudo certo.
Zé Chive.
Olha, mas faz isso a youtuber. E aqui temos a nave. Sei quê?
Esta aí, por exemplo, Armor é mentira, não é?
Colada com fita cola.
Isto faz a Drake por ser uma cena bem construída.
Isto é mesmo. Mas também não é cara. 135 paus.
Isso não está aí com a mesma skin. Isso está com uma skin diferente.
Isto tem uma remote quad remote turret com 3 que é DF7 Target.
Está muito fixe as coisas de abrir e fechar.
Quad remote of American. Ok. Depois tem 2
igual a Corsair.
Ballistic Guns. From ninguém diz de onde. Vitolos da Valkyria.
Um baldezinho.
Um balde, meu. Ei, muito bom.
Sim.
Aí está.
Onde é que o Boris vai sentar?
Cagar no balde.
Deixa lá ver quais são as outras. As outras, tipo, eu cortei a cara deste caralho. E Forges da Ship.
Perdeste a cabeça aí.
Agora, temos a Paladin.
Olha, eu gosto do Red.
Não é amarelo.
Ligar, bem fixe.
Bué fixe. Bué fixe.
Espera aí.
Espera aí, que é isso?
Espera lá, tu estás a controlar as armas todas. 4 size. Aliás, tu estás a controlar tudo.
E... Eles bem disseram que era combate heavy.
Aí
Eles
vem.
disseram que era
Aí
combate
vem.
heavy.
É combate heavy até o próximo patch.
É um heavy fighter.
Deixa eles venderem aqueles que eles querem, depois eles nerfam.
Mas é feia que dói. Porra.
Por acaso eu gosto. Tá bem, também estou aqui
Carrega lá
aí
no capa.
então.
É normal.
Por acaso eu
E
gosto.
A
tu
ideia é
também?
não haver um designer para fazer o desenho disto. Isto foi merdas coladas. Essa é a ideia.
É fixe.
Está bem? Não deixa de ser feia.
Sim, claro. Como tudo.
Os motores atrás aquilo viram também? Como a...
É Vitor.
Então os
Não.
três Fireball?
Supostamente estão, mas a malta que tem a Stinger não tem. Só há um gajo aqui em New Babbage que tem a Stinger. Ih, paz. Isto aqui. Foda-se. Espera aí que eu tenho que fazer restart ao jogo. Merda. Não tenho.
Então.
Esqueci-me.
A Paladin também é gira. A Paladin é muito engraçada.
Já fui buscar lá coisa.
É muito
Já fui
engraçado.
buscar lá aos buybacks. 2 segundos. Minha gente, que eu entro já.
Diz-me que foste buscar antes dela ser apresentada.
O que é Paladin? Sim, obviamente.
Yeah.
Não interessa, eu já tinha comprado com o Arbon da semana.
Aumentou 50 paus.
A sério?
Yeah. Ela era 300?
Não, ela era 260.
Não, nas últimas vezes que esteve à venda já estava a 300.
A sério? Não, a minha Paladin fui buscar lá os buybacks há bocadinho a 260. LTI? Foda-se.
E agora a Stinger.
A Stinger é que veio com LTI.
A Stinger é só. Não tem câmera nem nada, é só mesmo.
Não, aquilo vai ficar um fighter mesmo.
Tem cama também. Não tem cama lá, até ao lado da casa do bem.
A Stinger?
A Stinger acho que não. Mas
desculpa,
a Stinger não. A Stinger é só mesmo entras ali e a espada até à frente.
Mas
vais de
já
moto
viste
até à
no
frente.
Fire, já viste no Firepower que ela tem para o piloto? Aquilo é só um player.
Sim, mas aquilo deve virar que nem um cu.
Sim, mas depois é tipo a F8, não consegues jogar contra ninguém. É PvE e...
Tem
eu estou a olhar para a Stinger. Certo?
Plasma Cannon. Mas isto é bespoke. Não podes mudar. Depois tem 4 size 4 lasers Cannon e 2 size 2. Caraca, mas da power.
4 size 4. Caramba.
Caralho, mais um size 5.
Mais uma vez de volta.
Mais um size 5, mais 2 size 2. Aliás, ele já está no Hercule.
E os shields e o caralho, deixa lá ver os specs. Eu não falo nada.
Vocês estão a falar de quê?
Das novas naves.
A Paladina eu tenho ela para testar. Se quiserem. Quando sair, dá para testar.
Já sei
Stinger. Ora,
acho que é para o PTU.
Essa já está aí no PTU.
Já está no PTU ou ainda vai sair?
Tá.
Já
está no PTU. Eles estavam a dizer.
Então, olha, se meteres tudo attritions. Tá, attritions. Ardores. 6-2.
Então já estava, né? Só.
Foi isso eles libertar, basicamente.
Foda-se. A Stinger. Isto é bom que não vir.
A Stinger já tenho uma lá.
Deixa-me ver uma coisa. Quanto é que é status de F8? Só para... Ia com caralho. Malta acha que F8 é lenta. F8 é 30... Como é que é? F8 é 38, 38, 120. O pitcher roll, a Stinger é 30, 30, 26, 90.
Não tem. Tem dois. Size 2 shields.
Yeah. Agora, a
Size 2.
Stinger tem 4000 DPS, mano.
A gente vai jogar se quiserem para a party.
Isso é tipo a Ian. Essa parece a da Ian. Pelo que estavas a dizer.
Puxa. Que estupidez que é esta merda. E a Shiva é 2 size 4 e 2 size 3. Não é size 2, eu não sei quem tinha. Sim, não é mau, a Shiva não é má. E agora, a tia Paladina. Pois, é os size 5.
E este é size 3 de lado, não.
Mas tem um shield. A Paladin tem um
shield. Ou é size 4 de lado? Acho que é 4 de lado.
Tem um shield.
Dá a ideia que sim, para o piloto 4 size 4.
Agora, tu achas...
ser 4 size 5.
Não, a Paladino é 4 size 5 e 2 size 4 em cada asa. Agora, o que tu achas estranho é que no Hercule para o piloto dá 0.
Dá 0 porque não. E dá 0.
Tem calma, isso depois.
Ainda ser para atualizado no Hercule.
Aliás, não, peraí. O que os gajos disseram no vídeo faz sentido com isso. Dá a sensação que tens o piloto, depois tens o gunner ao lado que controla a torre principal e tens os gajos de baixo que controlam as torres dos lados. Ela tem mais armas do que essas?
Não, está certo.
Não está nada certo. Não está nada certo. No Q&A na Q&A da Paladin está lá escrito direitinho que se não houver copiloto e gunners, o piloto controla tudo e os canhões, os de lado deixam de ter gimbal e o de cima está sempre apontado para a frente. Está lá escrito.
Mas dispara também
olha, eu acho que era só mesmo os lados que ele controlava.
Não.
Eu
Quando eles dispararam agora no vídeo, só disparou das asas.
Estás enganado.
Não
controla tudo.
Não estou.
Estás enganado, é só as armas de cima.
Não estou, quero muito que te fodas. Não estou. E estou-te a dizer, eu tenho uma Paladin e vi o Q&A. Queres apostar?
A solo player has slave control of the two remote wing turrets. Ou seja, se estiver sozinho, controlas as turrets de lado, com gimbals. Se tiveres os gajos lá em baixo, cada um deles entra numa remote turret. Portanto, o piloto tem as turrets de lado.
O piloto tem as turrets de lado.
Se não tiver ninguém lá em baixo. O que é como acontece com a Corsair, por exemplo? O gajo da Corsair também, o que vai para o lugar de copiloto, controla as duas armas de baixo e se ele não estiver lá, vão para o piloto.
É isso que eu estou a dizer. Não tem ninguém, aquilo não tem o arco que tens, porque é o que o gajo estava a dizer no agora, que é se tiveres a malta, aquilo tem quase 360.
Tem porque a torre mexe.
E se passássemos lá para cima, não?
Não, que estamos a fazer ainda essa gestão aqui disto.
Estás a estar aqui sempre a carregar no caralho do botão.
Não, para nós é fantástico, tu tens que carregar no botão.
Tu tens que carregar.
Carrega.
O SPView ainda não tem a Paladin.
Vocês sabem o que é estupidez? Não, estupidez não. Vocês sabem quanto HP tem a Paladin? 149.820.
Certo,
só para vos dizer, a Carrack tem 88.000.
Certo.
Esquecida, pá.
Tá bem, mas tu já viste qual é que é o pitch e o roll da Paladin? Vamos comparar com a Carrack.
Não é pior do que a Carrack, certeza.
É quase igual. E não estou a gozar. A Carrack é 16, 16, 30 e a Paladin é 23, 19, 45. Não é muito diferente. Não é muito diferente.
Já agora, a Paladin não é mesmo para jogar sozinho, porque não tem armas o piloto. Não sei se já viram.
Tá, olha o outro.
Tem armas.
Vamos fazer o teste.
Já vou entrar, caralho.
Já vai mostrar.
Eu já estou a fazer cópia para o PTU, que é para poder entrar.
Tirando até
Anvil,
As technical spec
Paladin,
diz
Retrieve.
que não tem armas.
Opa, graças a Deus que tens um push to talk. Assim não tenho que mandar muitas vezes para o caralho. Eu assim entrei no coisa.
Que bem.
É que
Quem
é mesmo
inventou o push to
estúpido,
talk,
pá.
inventou o push to talk devia. Foda-se.
É que é mesmo estúpido.
É um acquired taste.
É como é pá. E a puta da coisa ainda não aparece.
Estou-me a dar
A puta da
gases.
coisa não aparece.
A Stinger.
Qual
A
delas?
Stinger não aparece. A Stinger não aparece.
Tens que fazer se calhar cópia outra vez para o,
Mas
PT,
é
para o
Paladino.
universo.
Chama a Paladin
Sim,
que é para
eu
experimentar.
comprei a coisa, comprei a Stinger e depois de comprar a Stinger é que fui buscar a Paladin aos buybacks e depois é que fiquei com a copia para o PTU. Agora,
Ok. Vamos ver se agora vem a Paladino.
Há bocado não veio?
Não.
Não, há bocado veio a Shift. Não, agora veio. Não, agora. Espera aí, ia dizer que aquilo era. Não, aquilo é Paladin.
Paladin.
Tá certo. O hangar é que é grande.
Alguma coisa havia de ser grande, não é?
Para compensar, não? Chegas a um balanço.
E alguém já experimentou a Siga?
O que é que tu achas que eu tenho aí diz? Agora pensa.
Essa é qual, proeza?
Não estamos a dizer isto à toa.
É Paladin.
Também não, tranquilo, filho. É Paladin.
Ela está mesmo dentro do design da Valkyrie e da Asgard, não é?
Devia ser um bocado mais parecida com elas, que esta é bem mais feia.
Até acho mais pequena, esquisita. A traseira não gosto.
É
mais gorda, fica assim
E
mais
é mais pequena, sim. Não tem aquele hangar.
Mas em tamanho não é mais pequena. Tem.
Não. Mais gorda.
Tem.
Mas se calhar não é tão comprida, né?
Olha, loca.
Eles quando puseram lá elas uma por cima da outra.
Fixe.
Escadas.
Demora
Isto aqui
3
não é.
horas a
Não é
abrir.
aqui, certo. Tem aqui não.
E não tem.
É mesmo por ali. Para pensar que era
Não
por
tem.
aqui.
É para a torre.
Aí tens a torre, pá.
E tem dos
Isso
dois
é o
lados.
rail.
Só tem é
Pois é,
tipo,
o rail.
é tipo terrapine.
É
só de um lado.
360 sobe e
Já
desce.
só vem trazer desse lado.
Então, escadinhas.
Se para dropship é um bocado estranho.
Isto não é uma gunship.
Pois é,
É uma gunship. Mas
Então.
ela tem 4 SCUs. Não é que
Pois tem.
talvez 4
Eles meteram-nos. Aqui, olha aqui.
Aí.
Aqui bem fixe.
Isso desce. Não desce.
Como intrépido.
Só de um lado.
Aqui há de ser o coisa, não é?
Os de baixo.
Ser
Olha
de
para
baixo,
cima.
E é tal vidrozinho.
Ora vê aí o ângulo da tarde.
Vê lá para cima.
Espera.
Olha para cima primeiro.
Olha para cima,
primeiro.
Foda-se chatas, man. Espera.
Olha para cima.
Olha para cima.
Como é que o Miguel Salgado vos atura com caralho? Foda-se.
Alguém se anda a portar mal.
Não, olha para cima, caralho, primeiro. Foda-se.
Em baixo.
Não dá para ver os pés. Está ali o gajo.
É de lado.
Ui, puta. Yeah,
Os dois depois controlam os de lado.
É puta
As
dentro
asas.
último.
Isso é a asa. É assim um bocado esquisito.
É os de baixo? Então.
Não à esquerda.
Acho que
Não, é das asas. É das asas.
É das asas. Aquele é o das asas.
Porque
Ali à esquerda não é uma escada.
com o piloto.
Bem, podiam ter usado isso para fazer um acesso.
É, boa, olha, bem visto. Não tinha reparado. Estou ali para o coisa principal.
Ali tem uma rampinha mesmo.
Mas...
As merdas podiam funcionar, caralho.
Tira o café.
Não tens crack. Querias tirar cafés.
Quando puderes fazer cocó, elas vão funcionar.
Uau.
Vai ser uma piada, caralho.
Esta hora, digital. Aqui atrás é o que?
É o engineering. É o
Engineering.
Aqui é mais o que? É mais...
Tanta
Ah, é o
sala.
outro.
Esse quarto.
É o outro quarto.
Onde é que está a casa de banho?
Pois, tanta coisa que a casa de banho era partilhada.
Yeah. Ah, deve estar aí.
Género.
Toma lá o teu cagueiro.
Sim, estou cá.
Olha,
fixe, a coisa funciona.
vou fazer aí o endingzinho.
Sim, força, claro que sim.
Yeah. E depois a gente já vê se volta a fazer alguma coisa daqui a bocadinho.
O senhor. Larga na coveia.
Testa lá as armas, que isso é que interessa. Só tens as lados.
Só as lados.
Maravilha.
Maravilha, caralho. Para andar sozinho. Pô, não.
Eu preferia a Steve.
Olha, obrigado.
Eu tinha ideia.